Sanjay Chedang Soji Chongla Janju Bardo Dani Jepsun Daiji Jinsu Jibi Chonglang Jola Pinjir Sanjay Drubar Shu Sanjay Chedang Soji Chongla Janju Bardo Dani Jepsun Daiji Jinsu Jibi Chonglang Jola Pinjir Sanjay Drubar Shu Sanjay Chedang Soji Chongla Janju Bardo Dani Daji Jinsu Jibi Chonangji Jola Pinjir Sanjay Drubar 다 가장 참대 강시 댐비 친구니 도시 내배 가위 로버 동화 톱 소장 용순 땅을 제내장 대다 가을 제와 니도 리다 강시 심진 다 가오 제와당 다 그바당 안 디디 토네 주신도 댐바이나 안에 첨부니 다 산제로 소바 톱신 안에 강라 내배 안에 다 신도 가위 다 로버토와 긴조 톱에 디디 인자 안에 so le tang chen ne so jin tang ne ane simje dige de ni gabu yong ye tang simje dige de la ta pemba chi ni che ri gi res.
So we got to verse 26. This was from yesterday until now. So verse 26 reads that through relying on those sentient beings, I attain the very great. Through harming them, I fall into distressing states. Even if I have to completely give up my life, it is fitting to be fond of them. So here Geshe explains that it is that through love and through respect that if I rely on sentient beings in such a way, by generating love, etc., if I rely on them in the proper way, the result will be the very great, that is the state of a Buddha. I will achieve the state of a Buddha. If on the other hand, I harm sentient beings, I hurt them, I harm them, I fall into difficult or distressing states. And then even if I have to completely give up my life, so even giving up one's life, it is fitting to be fond of them.
Ta dindi inza ta mangbo kanda tenbe chuba ni toba de dara simchen de da yin. Ta kibu tamba mangbo ki kangla tenbe chuba toba res na simchen de da la tene chuba toba res. Dindi inza simchen de da le ni shing shenbi chubi shing ni chuba na yumi simchen de da le shenbi chuba toba ki ta shing shenda yoma res chuba na.
So therefore it reads in verse 27, it says, it is those sentient beings that many relied on to attain siddhis. So who is it that the holy beings of the past, they have relied on? Who do they rely on? They rely on sentient beings. And then it goes on to say, among migrators there is no merit field for siddhis other than the great field of sentient beings. And so this is explaining that the greatest field, the greatest merit field for the achievement of siddhis are those sentient beings.
Ta simjen la tene ni chuba thoba res ta kibu ta mo chuba thobe di simjen la tene thoba res du ta namjin chubto se ki je chiorwa chezan ta namjin mangbu chi gi chubto la di tanye chu se di ane namla phir sa la chu ane chi tiwa thudan ni badu te tena dindijila chubto se ming dai do ti ta be ta la thanga du so ta ne package dulo chensabu tindi kuen namla phirte yo tabo ani yanamena ta zumun tindi shete yo tabo tindi ina chubtores ko bolu da pawa thame da palen chirajina ti chubtores ti shi jeimundo ti muneran ta ngo shemjin shu ya tjira da nambe chi machine bi tirda.
And so therefore what these verses are explaining is that all achievements, they arise independent in reliance on sentient beings. So those holy beings, those Mahasiddhas, those great beings with great realizations. So when we talk about Mahasiddhas, so these beings who have these great realizations, those are the beings who rely on sentient beings. But talking about these Mahasiddhas, these beings with great realizations, oftentimes there's a sense that they have great paranormal kind of powers, supernatural, mystical powers, and they're able to they have clairvoyance, they have certain capacities. But that is actually, and so if you look at the tankas, the religious paintings, so oftentimes they're depicted wearing very weird clothes, in union with the consort, flying in the sky and so forth. But there's this misunderstanding, feeling that this is what makes a Mahasiddha. So a realized person, a realized being must be such. But that would therefore mean that Nagarjuna, Devas, Chandrakirti and so forth, these great masters are not necessarily considered to be such great Mahasiddhas, which is a huge mistake. That's definitely not the case.
아니 제가 주바세디 딩시미다서 주주 손은데 람 리버 주바 미진스네 된지래 람다 주바 된지 차대고 진짜 람 터버지라 주바 톱스 게시셔버와.
So for instance, when we talk about the four aspects of the truth of the path, we talk of path, knower, accomplishment, and definite emerger. So here, when you talk of those four aspects of the path, they're all synonymous, they're equivalent or synonymous. So therefore, accomplishment and path are synonymous.
제zan다 야게 촐롬 기자 마셰바 이네 주바 톱스 주바 아니 추리 넘버 타보 송나 다디 주터바 디나시 띵지 야부지 귤레케요나 디 주터라 동원이 또에나 주터 잔니지 정주심 귤레케요나 주터 딜라로마도 딘지메나 나르피나 할레게미도.
So therefore, leaving aside the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, leaving aside these different paths, a person who keeps morality purely, a person who's attained meditative concentration, who's realized emptiness, who's attained the wisdom realizing emptiness, or has achieved love, compassion, bodhicitta, those are described as Mahasiddhas. Those are described as those with great accomplishments. And there's nothing spectacular or nothing special about someone being able to fly.
Tindima Yimbachine, Nala Peter Sala Ju, Tindigi, any Trupto Chene, Tindichilla Trudola, and Tzachimbu Zini, any Tangatu Shang Sheva Pu, Tindicheva Inanda, Dileta, and Namjusumingi Tindi, Tangati Shangche, Chatsene Yagra, Trudo Karachi Wupin Dora, Namjusumingi Mitonda Mobula by Pendil, Tapa Pin Tituwa.
So that was not the case. If if we considered those to be Mahasiddhas who were able to fly or were able to stay underneath the soil, to be underneath the soil for long periods of time, well, if those are the beings of those that we worship, for instance, like having those paintings of them, of like Tanka paintings of those who fly, worshipping and making offerings, well, then actually it would make more sense to worship and make offerings towards those who build airplanes. Because like for those Mahasiddhas, they can only fly by themselves. There's just one person who can fly. Whereas those who build airplanes, they take a lot of people. They help a lot of people being able to fly. They benefit a lot of people. So it makes sense to worship those people who build airplanes.
제자한테 제르무치 란리치만나는 손요래 아니 가시고래 란레 신지비 전주심 딘디더부지 바 귤리 제바이나 엔 케바드 수기다 시부지레 세네는 모서도 지그레스 디레마도 지버구이 인데센다 미 머신인도 수기 엔 데스 니버지 된 디지는 시부지 가부지는 할레기로 딘디기지 엔 용어질라 아니 디 모서와가 지그마레스 되는 손요.
So Lama Tsongkhapa, for instance, he explains in his Great Lamrim, in his text, the Great Lamrim, what is truly amazing in terms of cities, in terms of accomplishment, is bodhicitta, which is the mind that instead of cherishing oneself, cherishes other sentient beings. So this is truly an amazing state of mind. So someone has achieved that is an amazing person. Whereas sometimes those worldly beings who don't really understand, they feel that if someone has some kind of paranormal powers, that this is something amazing amazing, that this is something marvelous, but in actuality it's those qualities that are truly marvelous.
Jizanta ngagi ngutu du zu tubegi gyu yuna mena de ene chanju semda tonyi du bi shira resini chapitsa juno tindi sondo.
So it says, for instance, in the root tantra, it says, for instance, that as a preparatory kind of practice, of tantra, one needs love, compassion, bodhicitta, as well as a realization of emptiness. Those are the kind of criteria for being able to do tantric practice.
그 나바디 나올로 요래 쇼탄 투주제가 나올로 최치기 ene 전주세면 가 두부레스 지가르레스나 최탐지 제바메비 넘바 통바 돈이도 비시라.
So, for instance, it says in the volume Ngaba on page 65 in this particular root tantra of Namjushri. So, in this particular tantra, it says that what is it? What is this pure dharma? What is this pure dharma that is needed here? It is the wisdom realizing emptiness that is free from fabrications.
ene 최니기 ene 가 두부레 니가레스나 전주세미 동화다 심전라 semnyam바레스.
And so likewise, the second aspect, what needs in order to be able to engage in tantric practice, is that awareness of bodhicitta, which does not forsake sentient beings, which rather cherishes sentient beings.
남주 용다기 루주나를 요와 파바 토메기 루주니 ene 지진 잡아고 줍시 나기 냠lela 때네 ene 딘데 단두에 시 마시바제 ene 슈라 ene 키모 다 메고주 바질라 다 리제네라 모화체 어다 닝지 슈타보지 제네 ene 랑기 라기 샤제 디네 ene 디바다지 지진 잡아고 모시시 ene 점주 대만도 송 어디로와.
So, in terms of the different the history, the biography of the Sangha, well, as it's widely known, the Sangha meditated, engaged in tantric practices for 12 years in order to be able to have a direct vision of Maitreya. And although he spent all this time engaging in tantric practices in order to perceive Maitreya, after these 12 years he was still not able to do so. So he was only able, once he generated great compassion for this dog that was infested by maggots. So Geshe is saying he doesn't need to tell the entire story, but it was basically the moment he tried to help this dog by trying to remove the maggots with his own tongue. In that moment, he was finally able to perceive Maitreya directly, and then receive the teachings such as the 5 texts by Maitreya.
지진 제목은 뭐 시시보다 말로 주닝보도 저런라 티칭 단달에 시시마 손슈디선에 그런 두 번님네 제바 다가라는 마 그런 재미였어. 그런 리티비 팀이 통마도래. 다리닝지 전부 숙치부 제대 디바다는 신이 뭐 통바레스티 손다.
And so also Maitreya, after Asanga said to him, I've been meditating on you for 12 years, so Maitreya's response was that from the moment you started this practice, I was near you, but it was due to your obstructions, your karmic obstructions, that you were unable to see me. But then, in the moment you generated great compassion, in that moment, those last karmic obscurations were removed, and this is why you were then eventually able to see me. So there was once a tantric practitioner who did the practice of Vajrayogini, and he was a teacher himself who had many disciples.
제산다 딘디지 나파 추파줄 도고 도스 깨자대 다이네 콜라보 창이라고 말어 그 그랬더니 딘디지 아니 괜라다 군주 참아 도 스트레스 위치라 도나시라 마중래 아니 슈슈들라 아니 기수지어 기주디나로네 디닝지 쉽시게어.
So at some point, the teacher and his disciples, they went to a different place. They walked to a different place and had to cross this river, a river that was quite difficult to cross. And at the same time, as they were intending to cross the river, there was an elderly lady who was suffering from leprosy, which is a very infectious disease. And so at that time, no one dared to touch her, being worried about or being scared of being infected by the disease. And neither the teacher nor the disciples really paid any attention to her. Only one in the group, one novice monk who was a student of this teacher, he generated compassion. He generated compassion for this lady suffering from leprosy.
디지도 전에 다 코파로 와징에 말아야디 나저고 그랬으면 되로와. 근데 제바이나 내기 유샤나 안다 콜로 와징 균라 말해. 다 배사그르트는 인지 슈침부 제제 안 카르체네 제는 르당 디자올라 바네 추낭 친다.
And so at that time, this novice was thinking, well, actually the reason for no one helping this lady was everyone was scared of being infected by leprosy. But this monk, this novice was thinking, well, if I just leave her and no one helps her, what is going to happen to her? So he generated compassion, and instead of being scared of being infected, he totally let go of his worries, and instead carried this lady on his back to be able to cross the river. So on his back he crossed the river together with this lady.
추기 길을 레드 아니 디 롱겐디 나저만을 줄 나저명기 주주기 아니 코란 님도 진에 번나라 도스 티치머 켄라 갈리쇼.
So when this novice monk with this lady on his back had reached the middle of the river, then this lady transformed into Vajrayogini, showed her actual aspect of Vajrayogini, and took this novice monk with her and kind of took her into the sky, and kind of like Geshe is kind of saying jokingly, so he was waving goodbye to his teacher.
자 간지 산지 준지 선배들 중에 안줄은 닝지게 랍나 아타 동해 닝지 쥐나 아타 다 간지 닝지디 차대로 연하면 된데 답시 지고라.
So basically, sentient beings, so they manifest in different ways, in like manifesting suffering and manifesting in different forms, and the reason for doing so is basically for us to generate compassion. So they do it with that purpose in mind.
다 뒤쳐버체. 되네. 다 되기 디기디 사마시에 사와 인자 다 디다 이신 너부데 심진 디기디 에네 이신기 너부레 에네 봄바상이 되셔봐 되셔 잡아버려 봄바상 보시네 다 봄바직체 디나로라 아니 수수기 그에게 디참아 런슈기 다 퇴용해 기지시고래 엔 되셔봐시에 데 너비직체레 바주기 다 지와다 징바참아 다 르무치 릭당해 된데 왔다 되셔봐스 디다 지바레스
So then it continues with verse 28, basically saying, if that is all the case, everything that has been explained before is so, then it follows that these sentient beings are a wish-fulfilling jewel, a wish-fulfilling vase, a wish-fulfilling cow. So basically what this is saying here is that sentient beings are like a wish-fulfilling jewel, they're like a wish-fulfilling vase. So a wish-fulfilling vase is described as a specific vase that is able to manifest anything that sentient beings need. So it naturally manifests whatever substances someone requires. And similarly here, a wish-fulfilling cow. A wish-fulfilling cow is a very precious object, with all the parts of the cow, the horns and so forth, being made of precious substances.
다 이신 누부 나시레스네 다 이신 누부 가산 랍차레 데제지 지자 다 베디 랍차레 다 된다디 엔딘시도 아니 이신 누부디 다 담바기를 유샤나 코나코나 대행이 누부 요말 코란다 도라레다 아제 담바기를 유샤나 게 누부 요말 다 이네 디네 출렌제 장마스 안 장마스에 전에 결정이 젤샤 추버피 아마나 잡나 안마나 데비데 탐지 주주어 시티 원도 제비 어디는 심심진디기디 코나코나 샤샤나 코나코나 동네를 다리 누부 코나를 민도아 담바기를 대바다 지바레 이네 디게디 능주마다 마치 추다 수수기 셈기 공도 꿀 안에 대 가부치 구바치 안 코랑기 펜바 탐지 주 네바 탐지 셀틴디 심슈 제지 디제오나 랑기 네거 기타도다 디지 된탄지 주주어레스 제사 심진디기디 니 신노보다 지바레소.
With regard to wish-fulfilling jewel, so previously Geshe already explained what the meaning of this example, the wish-fulfilling jewel is. But to once again describe this particular object, so the meaning of this is that this is a particular stone, a particular jewel, which if you kind of just throw it away, if you throw it somewhere, it won't benefit you. It doesn't hold the potential to benefit you. If, however, you pick it up, you clean it, you put it in a clean place, you make prayers and so forth, then this particular jewel, this wish-fulfilling jewel, is able to fulfill all your wishes of this lifetime. So similarly here, with regard to sentient beings being like a wish-fulfilling jewel, well, if we just leave them without paying attention to them, they will not have the potential to benefit us. They will not have the potential to liberate us from our sufferings and take us to happy states. However, if on the other hand we basically pick them up in the sense of like we take care of them, we grow fond of them, we have respect for them, and we benefit them, we engage in activities that help them to overcome their sufferings instead of harming them, then they become the cause not only for our temporary happiness, but also they become the cause of our ultimate happiness of enlightenment.
산제기 세월에다 전주생박이 랑기 류 롱제 계자 창마다 인지기 군에라는 심지 탐지기 치도 뭐니 엔티체네다 심진 들어 토제 창마 통제 퇴제 아니 렉제 탐제다 진제 탐제 아니 대화 용액이 몰란자제 몰란자라도 카는 기자마로 듬벅게지 뒤창니 겨와 몽베버도 듬벅다 타관이게 아니 디치도 아니 소놈다 희소 규누무사 도 숨어 용도 아니 산지 다 통도 진제 창마로라 펜도 용해지 용구여와
So with regard to Buddhas and in particular Bodhisattvas here, so what they do is they offer their body, their enjoyments, their root virtue, all these, they out of great compassion or independence on great compassion, they offer those, they dedicate those towards sentient beings. So anything that they see, that they hear, that they remember, that they touch and so forth, all that they dedicate, that is, they pray, they use this to pray for the welfare of sentient beings. And here prayer does not just refer to the words, but it refers to actual aspiration. So for many eons, these Buddhas and these Bodhisattvas, they work towards liberation, they work towards accumulating the two accumulations of merit and wisdom in order to then eventually reach the state of a Buddha.
제선 딘디기 멀럼기 뉴바 점닝지기 뉴바디 용수 소비 왕기 아니 간살레다 정생 파바 인치라 아니 넘바 컨디션 거스는 롱구이 넘바를 샤려해체
and so in dependence on these prayers, in dependence on the power of these prayers or aspirations, in dependence on the power of love and compassion, so when these are completed, then those bodhisattvas who've purified their karma, to them then appears the enjoyment or the sambhogakaya of a Buddha.
수수교 레다 인체라 아니 샤레디 아니 초고 줄고 넘바체 샤게토바 상게 샤게토바 나시
So in the case of bodhisattvas like Arya bodhisattvas, to them this Sambhogakaya appears, whereas those mundane beings who have not reached the Arya state, to then the Nimanakaya, that is the emanation bodies of a Buddha appear.
Tene sanje yuchu suni da ngwesu chu sunje tononto tuyegi da dujati rishigla zosuna sangi nyangali tibe number 10.
And then if those beings who the Buddha teaches to, like for instance the precious supreme body, the supreme emanation body, when this supreme emanation body gives teachings to those beings who have purified karma, so when those who can attain the path of seeing independence on those teachings, when they are no longer there, then the Buddha manifests parinirvana, that is, he passes away.
이내 지대감은 산제를 대버제 구버제 차춘비제 딘디치니 징이 유나 다 딘디 백이 제버점지 시부지기다 수놈 사투기에 받아 봐줄 팽기에 받 디즈이 몰라 산제 ring세기 넘버 샤오요.
But however, even after his parinirvana, those beings in this world who have great faith, who have great respect, so those beings in this world here, if there is some benefit, the Buddha can continue to benefit them, if they have enough merit, etc., then the Buddha manifests for them in the form of relics.
디네 지대 컴나다 산제 대버징이 차장 조수나 ringse digiti ta sanje gi tuji gi ina ta kanje tsujina chin sururu chan di lu ke bu de la wal le da lu kran ze pe chi gi ina ta.
So then at the time when there's no one left in this world who has faith in the Buddha Dharma, when there's no one left, then the different types of relics that the Buddha has manifested through his mental capacity has manifested, now all these will be collected together and given to the Naga kings, the kings of the serpents or the Naga kings, probably for them to use. And so all these different substances, these different relics that have been collected together, from those then the wish-fulfilling jewel is formed. So therefore, the wish-fulfilling jewel can therefore be traced back to the power, the capacity or power of a Buddha, which in turn goes back to the love and compassion which gave rise to the Buddha. Therefore it says in verse 28, but the last two lines it's basically saying, so therefore since sentient beings are like a wish-fulfilling jewel, we should therefore rely on them as we would on the meditation of deity or a guru or a lama. So when we say rely on a guru or rely on a lama, well, it's important to understand what that actually refers to. What does it actually mean to rely on a lama or a guru? And so this is explained at the beginning of the Lamrim Chemo, Lama Tsongkhapa's Lamrim Chemo, how to rely on a spiritual guide or a lama. So likewise in the other Lamrim texts and many different scriptures you find an explanation of this.
Mateva Gigyo Marilan Gae, some Lutonice, and Joyotone, that Lama Lata Lamegi, Combata Due, Lama Tuki, Tapshiche, or Tindiji Sherta.
So with regard to relying on the Lama, so with regard to our attitude, it should be an attitude of faith, of being fond of the Lama. So here when we say faith towards the Lama, it's basically being fond of the Lama. Likewise, remembering their kindness, remembering the kindness of the Lama. And usually when we see faults in someone, what happens is in general we generate non-faith. In other words, we lose our faith. But here in this case, not to lose our faith, but instead to continue with our faith. So those are different attitudes. Those are the different attitudes that have to do, that rely on that are dependent on our attitude with regard to our attitude. And with regard to the actual activity, the actual training here, well, we should engage in activities that please the Lama. So when you look at some of the phrases, some of the terms that are used, kind of very sophisticated, kind of highfalutin kind of terminology here. So here we would use kind of the sophisticated terminology of like being like a servant, becoming like a servant of the Lama, serving the Lama. So you find that terminology used. So as a result of this, there are some cases where some abuse this kind of relationship in the sense of claiming I am your teacher and you are my disciple, and abusing this particular relationship.
And Timakawa Chikidu Lani and Mimobuchi Yang, singing to Cordita, jumping in Shasha, the Cheshe, the Shema Watch, and Shanda the She, Shanda the She.
And there are others who misunderstand the relationship between the Lama and his disciples, believing that this relationship basically just refers to someone having all the power and controlling other people. So they don't like this relationship between a Lama and a student. They don't like this particular situation in the sense of just feeling that this is an abuse of power. And for that reason, there are many cases where a teacher, for instance, would not teach the reliance on a spiritual teacher because there's so much dislike, there's so much misunderstanding of this particular relationship. So actually, in this particular section of relying on the spiritual teacher, this is basically part of training the mind. It's a particular practice of training the mind.
The Geshe dindi chebores katang shege taw ma himbache kabu yungmaro tagase kabu khandes sogore tablam ani kuba ki maro tagase kuba khandes ke ore tablam tila in kyen thone ma kawa leondi ti khandes sel gore siegi riba peche tang o tizuma sungorwa.
So here, for when we talk about these different practices with regard to the attitude that is required regarding this teacher. So this is not about giving a command here saying you have to do such and such, but rather to say how is it possible to generate fondness, that is faith in the Lama. So how do you do this? What are the methods to do so? How can you generate respect for the Lama, and what are the methods to do so? And then lastly also, what can we do to eliminate losing, or how to overcome losing our faith when perceiving faults in the Lama? So what are the methods to bring this about? And this is basically not telling someone to do this, but to apply reasoning. So it's not just like a command, but it's rather like it's using different types of reasoning to be able to engage in that practice.
Susu lama dila ta kyun tes tong yanan ta yunden shida yunden tes meba ta memba taba tene tong du zane dila ane dindigi yunden memba ta kyun tes yueba yinzang ane susul ta kalar susul zal ta kurang kunden cheshuye ko terawares dile labe ta sanje na shinina ngadi chetugu mare ngal ko teraga mares ripati peche tangje kyondo lo kae tene sungorwa.
So to take one example with regard to these different attitudes that need to be generated, to give one example, the example of seeing faults in the Lama, or to see the absence of certain qualities in the Lama. Actually, it is because of those faults, it's because of the absence of certain qualities that we have the opportunity to receive those teachings. The reason being that we don't have the capacity to receive teachings, we don't have the merit to receive teachings from the Buddhas directly. So basically, in order to receive teachings, we need to receive them from someone who manifests the absence of certain qualities and the presence of different faults.
Anen Geshe dan Qur'anin gi lodun bejeti barwa Geshe tu kanje ta Qur'anin gi lodun bejeti bare timon de cheba ina jabar muchi gi ken mo buji Qur'an zo king mido jabar muchi gi simje mo bol lodun che tu ban shin ken Qur'anin nang tu mido ro ta timon de cheba ina kyen ro ta.
So, for instance, this particular reason here is actually something very powerful. It's a very powerful reasoning, a very sharp kind of reasoning. So, for instance, in Geshe-la's case, so he received teachings by his personal teachers, Shabuke Rinpoche and Gen Shetup. So, for about 7 years, he received teachings from those masters. But from the point of view of common appearance, those were not like His Holiness. They were not able to benefit sentient beings as vastly as His Holiness the Dalai Lama would. So this we can consider to be a fault. We could regard that to be a fault.
Sorry,
sorry, I got the wrong name.
Any Ken Kurani, Jormuchin and Shingi, any number the Tembaina, Nagarjuna, Misamukuba Marwa, Tamajagra, Mala Lutu, Mawata, Mala, and the Tawachi Petty, that Nimara Chuzichi, Tawachi, Rae, Coco Yomarta. Chesan Tindigi number Mate, Digi and Shine Malago de Rare. Dico de Marana, Lord Drew, King Kunzini, Lord Drew, Dimpeti, Koko the Ramena, Jarum Jizar Sunji Shune, Poto, and Sikashi Kugurimato, Tandana Shinkoche, the Yomarita.
So actually there's a reason, there's a necessity for these lamas manifesting this absence of qualities, like the same qualities as well as the Dalai Lama, because if hypothetically they were to manifest the same qualities as His Holiness, well, there'd be other people that are not stupid. Everyone will be crowding around these teachers, and Geshe would have never had the opportunity to receive teachings for 6 or 7 years. So even for 1 month it would have been difficult to receive the teachings that Geshe had the opportunity to receive. And moreover, if they really had manifested, so they didn't manifest the aspect of someone like His Holiness, but if they had, then again, if he had received teachings for 6 or 7 years, well, most of it he wouldn't have understood. He wouldn't have been able to really receive an understanding. It would have been very sophisticated, very difficult types of teachings he would have received from His Holiness, and he would have not been able to understand the full meaning.
Just Tindrigi Shingi Tinzu Korsunga, the same Chondrji, Rimbaji Resland, the Hakona, Kikin the Injimiji, Kunjin number 10 Machuna, Lochondra Tea Yomar. So the same Ranja Dedir, that Tebati Kirva in a Chondra Tea Yomar.
So therefore, if these teachers didn't manifest as in like this limited fashion, having these folds or having not the same qualities as someone like His Holiness, then they would have not given their disciples not given the opportunity to train their minds. If they didn't have these qualities, then he would have been unable to really gain those qualities, generate the qualities, receive the understanding that he did receive, except for a little bit of faith. Yes, he would have been able to generate some faith in them, but he would have not been able to attain the qualities that he had the opportunity to attain.
Di chongdarte zire sasuna ani shine ma ya gyache na rabdu chuma ta khurang ngani yune me manazungun deba jangore ese tindeji la des gyacheru ta rabdu chuma changmala cheching changmala.
And so then slowly, when we train our mind, when we have trained our mind, then we kind of reach a greater level. So we get whether these lamas have greater qualities or not, but we extend our faith, we train in our faith and make it greater.
Ndi chondra ozile onde shine ne simje 탐제라 다 대발라이로 가부체 고래 아니 심제 탐제로 구버체 고래 다 심제 탐제라 다 류마 유송 농주 표이제 다기 면제 표에 잡대 다 간지 기비신년의 표이라야지 예부스제세 디잡대 심제 탐제를 제고래스 신의 마키주도 아니 오늘랑 심제 탐제를 제 투베제 용해를 와요로다 정들도 스방진 데비 계절이다 인주.
So in that way we extend our faith, to other lamas, etc. And eventually we are able to extend our faith to all sentient beings. So our fondness, our faith, extending it to all sentient beings, offering our body, our possessions, our mind, our root virtue and so forth, offering everything to sentient beings. So in the same way as we offer a mandala, for instance, we make a mandala offering towards the lamas. So here, as a representation or symbolic representing such mandala offering, we offer everything that we possess. And so in a sense, all sentient beings, we're able to grow fond of all sentient beings and are able to work for them.
Page Karsugure Chirdang Simjin test Tagaji, Dinang Lone, that Sune King, that Juba Dujada, Dusoleng, the Kundo Loki, Sadi, Contra the Magavilo di Kimura, Di Seldandi, and Kadres, Ladu, Nima Ribatizo, Changsayuna, Deepa Kapesha, the Tatako, Vegetan Chojo de Giore.
And not just with regard to sentient beings in general, growing fond of them in general, but in particular growing fond of those who engage in harmful actions, who engage in hurtful actions, etc. So those suffering sentient beings. So here the types of reasoning that we applied earlier to initially generate faith in a particular lama, so those reasonings can now be adjusted and can now be applied to those particular sentient beings who harm us, etc.
Benetagi Tangshabi Ribadi Tsukion Baina, Jezanta, Koizu Tsune Magena, the Subasulo Gomore, Sanje de Junjusamal and Subagome, and Masuba Magombaina, Masanje Yomar, Subinium Lin Seldi, Sujisemang Subijong Dardia, Nibadi Mazona, Sanje Yomare. Di sometime did the Kuranzu Neki, Di Kone ka jing la tene ni subi nipa chongtu dela tene nga sangye tupsla samudi ribadi takarang pöjor tu eni simjin dela kabu jeyongor.
So if we take this particular reasoning here, so we need to understand that if we didn't have sentient beings who are obnoxious, who harm us, etc., well, we would be unable to engage in the practice of patience. And if there are not these obnoxious beings, who else would give us this opportunity to practice patience? Definitely not Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So I need those sentient beings to generate patience, because without patience, I will not be able to reach the state of a Buddha. So in that way, those beings who I usually get angry with, I shouldn't get angry with them, but rather see their kindness, recognize their kindness. So understand the reasoning, this reasoning in the way just explained, recognize their kindness, and then therefore that results in me generating faith or liking or fondness of these sentient beings.
Chizanta manjogi chedandi 수술 타바던 탄지체베 람tinging 기겐디를 기위싱이 뒤시 샤마토나 심진을 간데스키 심지 탐제를 기위싱이 뒤시 간데스샤도 제제 허를 디다 기위싱이 인식이 용서를 요말.
Logic. So therefore, if we are unable to do this, if we are unable to rely on a teacher, understanding that they are the causes for us to reach liberation and Buddhahood, so if we are unable to generate faith and fondness of a teacher, how can we do this with regard to all sentient beings? How are we able to do that? And then here, therefore, we should rely on them. Therefore, it says that they are like this wish-fulfilling Joe who we should rely on, like a guru.
Pena tagilaegi en kigenla susu yobe dushichin lagorela de ta semkhom gi jota mashinge tindigi namsha chune shilamde so mashinge de ta tukchaji kenza shuri 통과하러 다 단다 디마 키용제 test target로 오면 되나 다 눕초라 간디나 마다 샤초리나 기genla 지에지 최기제서 많이 봐 남준의 룩소여 인장 딜랍나 test target로 다 디종들 test에서도 다 심지 탐지 소소 안 심지 탐지기 제인비 두시 제월에서 시징 도나 디송레 산지 고반 톰데 용이지이나 조화군의 대신 조화군의 전규신도 내버려서 소소 심지 탐지기다 제인만의 신진에 상당거래서 디송레.
So with regard to, for instance, here this example of the teacher, so here the example that is given, or one way one should act towards a teacher, is like being like a servant to the teacher, serving the teacher. So actually those who don't really understand Buddhist psychology, who don't have an understanding of the Buddhist aspects of the basis, the path and the result, they may easily misunderstand that. In particular in the West, we're forgetting about the religious kind of relationship between a teacher and a student. It is actually customary in Asia, where in the West it's not customary to serve your teacher, whereas in Asia it's even not even thinking of the religious connection. There is this custom to serve the teacher. It's not seen as something weird or as something unnatural, whereas in the West that is often regarded differently. So basically here, with regard to one's teacher becoming his or her servant, so likewise here we should also, with regard to other sentient beings, train our mind to be able to serve sentient beings. So this idea of serving sentient beings in the same way as one would serve one's teacher, that is described in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, where it basically says that we should become the slave of all sentient beings. It goes to the degree when it goes to such a degree that it says we become the slaves of sentient beings, of wandering, migrating beings.
제자 벽이 라마치레 고난기 직시지 좀제 아니 수다지 통보인의 책이 다 뉴스 된바다 삼록 단거 아만tin 마겐틴진 키랑기 팅 요번에 신치기스 마겐틴진 스타스임제 탐질 아멘도 시작으로 마겐틴진 큐기 젠기진스 예버 군주 미니 군방라스 키랑 투기 얘기 사마치기 투마제 상방긴스 큐니 닝기 길도 진지기 키랑에 닝나다 먼저 때 닝타반의 제와라지로 샤기 여러분들 장생별 월주스 디스지디 수 통에 되는 도와다 로장.
So basically, there's a lama, a Tibetan lama, who composed a four-line verse here. So basically, whoever he met, whoever he thought about, whoever he encountered, in this case, he would always have this particular, he would recite this particular verse, he would think about this particular verse, so saying that all mother sentient beings, I'm like a servant to you, and I will do everything that pleases you, and from the depth of my heart I will generate love towards you, so that in the end this becomes the cause for my own enlightenment.
Jizan simje jiong de la resuna labar du yang shinda pasha ne sanje gi temba le ne jing da lokta chen da da ngun ji den da ta de bi da du da dong zhe ge si du xie ji da du le na che je le par ji jing la wo da wo di le yang da da gi la yi cha sang ge wo ga bu gu ba ani ka si wo re da nge lu ma ji su cha la pi cha sang chi gyur go ro da.
So therefore, with regard to sentient beings in general, but in particular with regard to those sentient beings who harm the Dharma, we should generate this attitude with regard to those who harm the Dharma, who have wrong views, who hold wrong views. So usually we speak of Maras and kind of spirit beings. So Maras are usually described as those spirit beings or as those demon-like beings who harm the Dharma. So in particular with those, we should generate these same attitudes as described before. So generate fondness for them, generate respect for them, basically work as their servants, or become their servants.
Jizan George Palen Adisha Dina Shinchine, that Tanda Jamal Mushige Dinangidwa, or Dina Shinchine, Sundrachili in a Samal Yunding, Dai. Kushab na ye dinangyur chiza ani michi le chi la na khol yundin di yores yundin ngene kyen yodo yorwa da ine yundin ji yoro khol yundin ngene janya sungyu da.
So, for instance, therefore, Atisha, or also His Holiness the Dalai Lama, so whoever they encounter, they're able to focus. They're able to focus on the qualities of that person and generate respect for them. So, Atisha, or whether His Holiness the Dalai Lama, they all practice that. So, in the sense that, of course, everyone has faults. But when these faults are being pointed out, then these great beings, what they do is they focus on these qualities, they express the qualities, they focus on these particular qualities that sentient beings have. So Atisha, like His Holiness.
Jezanta, any nimaji lumbati nalo la michi yusare, but Kalaurta, Kola Yundin Tidus in Kuni, Zuzu Mengi, but 남자 유네 꽤 공부도 오지. 아니 다 조절의 컨디션이 다 콜라 윤대 가려res. 그래서 뭐도 있어라. 상기 치고요res. 상기 리요res.
So there's a story of like one time at some point Atisha went to a particular place where there was no one there was one particular person that no one was able to see any qualities in that person. So there were just faults. The person seemed to have nothing but faults. And so they approached Atisha and said, "What if you say they have qualities? What are those qualities?" And Atisha had a bit of a hard time to actually point out some qualities. So he thought for a moment, and his response was, "Well, they have the Dharmakaya of a Buddha. In other words, they have Buddha nature. This person has Buddha nature." So that was his response.
니버치는 민도 콜레가 주는 민도 다 디기 크게 추야래 그 저버도 파장마스 디 제버이나 다 점블링 디기 다 용적이 다 미용적이 다 체디기 디기 주도를 라고요 봐 디나신 단다 심진다 뒤다 다 가리모 가리지는 가수 독자인 랑인지네 단다 디 콜 시티브시 디강라 뮨티브시 디강라 리티브시 디수이 팀니 아니 콜 베제메로다 이거 된두고 말아 다 남시지나 아니 상계다 저주 선배도 로봇체네 다 간지 순저지기 직체네 디게디마도 셀토나 다가나 상계 차더다 딜레다 심제베 타다 무메벨 다 편도 제동이 차대였다.
So therefore we can say that sentient beings are just like a wish-fulfilling jewel. So in the sense, like, as a wish-fulfilling jewel, if you just leave it lying in the mud and don't use it, it is of no benefit. However, if on the other hand, you utilize its potential by way of picking it up, cleaning it, and so forth, you are able to generate all the objects of this world, basically. Anything of this world, or with regard to this life, all the pleasant kind of objects of this world can be achieved through this. So likewise here with regard to sentient beings, let's say for instance maras, those demon-like beings harming the Dharma, or whoever there is, whatever sentient beings who's harmful, whoever is negative or a bad kind of being. So in this case, basically they are afflicted, they are obstructed by their cognitive obscurations, by their afflictive obscurations, and by their karmic obscurations. So actually just like that, they're of no use. However, but at some point, these beings, through the force of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, eventually all these obscurations will be purified. So this means that likewise all sentient beings, eventually limitless sentient beings, therefore, can be purified in the same way, so that they also reach the state of a Buddha. So therefore, what would you do if you were to see a wish-fulfilling jewel in the mud? Would you just leave it, turn around and walk away, or what would you do? If you just leave it there and you walk away, that would be a great disadvantage, great loss.
Palsang Geshe YouTube the Juni Champion la Kantiju Nuba
So likewise with regard to sentient beings, they're like this muddy wish-fulfilling jewel in the sense that they have all these obscurations. But if you eliminate those, then each one of them will have the potential to help limitless sentient beings. So each one of those sentient beings will have this potential, just like the Buddha, just like Manjushri, and so forth. So it'd be a great disadvantage, or be a great loss to just ignore them.
Tadine lungda ribe yonson te ne simjen kuine tayi nyam lambe tambe la do ki le tamje ni yumi ruma chungwa juwa yins ta lungda riba gi thone ani simjen tamje la ta rangi na shinchine rang na shinchine chebar zimbe negi seyegi samlo le de yegi tenje gi kibu tamba ti la bala ani kewa tan leba tamje ani ringbo mi toba chine yongres.
So then the next verse 29 reads, having thoroughly learned the scriptures and reasoning, before long all virtuous goodness will arise within the hand of love of the holy being who looks upon every sentient being as mind. So what this text is, what this particular verse is saying, that is in reliance on the scriptures and in reliance on reasoning. Here we look, sentient holy beings, the holy beings look upon every sentient being as mind. So they before long they will arise within the hand of love of these holy beings.
Just Tindigi Tone Nish Tachi to Shinche Berzini, Tiche de Ntubachim Chubate, Tini Tubachim Chubate, Stasanji Kopan Tubeki, that Tabsi Chubares, and Pangchi Dilla Cheber Mijao, that the Tindi Yimbati, and a Pambota Cheba, Ribi Captenta Cheba, Lunda Ribi Captenta Cheba, Tinza, Tilla, and the Tesum Cheomares.
So then verse 30, it's saying that this is the conduct of the great sage. So here with regard to the conduct of the great sage, it's basically referring to the means and method that take a person to the state of full enlightenment, or the state of a Buddha. And because this particular state, or this particular state and this particular conduct here, all those can be established on the basis of scriptures and reasoning. And so therefore one should not be indecisive, one should not have doubts with regard to these reasonings, with regard the rationale that establishes that.
Debuta Chambada Niji Chimbudi, any Yamyonji Majeba Ina, that Teba Chimbuki, Lambda Tubakaya, and Yomaris, Sigmaris.
And so then it goes on to say, for as long as one does not actualize such conduct, for that long accomplishment is impossible. So basically, as long as one does not engage in the practices of love and compassion, it is impossible to generate accomplishments. It's impossible to achieve the different path.
Tene reshi tabar chashi chige do sheba tila beba Geshe tang beti koranta ichi kige mindone taje chegi chidu ineya an tila bezunji cheda ane chanchu sembo chimbo tang sanje ten koban toyegi gyutigi di ane gyurgyubi yunden digi di ranyengi kali ane susugi ta nyamyongi tone chobi ungures laura ta mondo gyuri ungures tobi ungures.
And then, as it says in verse 31, well, you should investigate for some time and exert yourself with the explanation as it is set forth. So if you have no faith, well, you should generate this kind of faith by investigating, and then exert yourself, make an effort to practice these explanations as they're being explained. And then as a result of that, one will individually attain all the different qualities which are the causes of the great resultant enlightenment.
Ngegi jojo kensho di ane test di ta lo shimbe kab laborwe ta kanche tamjel ne ta ozi yabo yobache subu topshu tu yabo yobache kanji tindi tone test ngaje tabochine ta chi ane tindi chine kalor den ti chi du sane tingi pinjare tingi pinjamare tingon zulumbar ting di manzui chore di konzui chore tindi che ane suzu choma yingi du zu tille du test tu chine ta chi doktor chine tindi gi ti che de orda.
So Geshe was saying that his oldest brother, when he was younger, when he was of younger age, when he was a younger person at that time, he was very strong. Physically, he was very strong and had great understanding of the Dharma. And as a result of that, he generated arrogance. Arrogance in the sense that, for instance, he would differentiate between those who came from the same area that he came from. He would distinguish or discern or differentiate between those who were on his side and those who were not on his side in that way. And so, whoever he considered to not be on his side, he would kind of show them the cold shoulder, like ignore them and be quite arrogant. So he was kind of powerful. He was quite powerful, and he was quite aggressive in that sense. And then later on, he had an accident. And as a result of that, he got injured. His wife died. And so he experienced some problems. So for a long time he was on his own. He basically had to live on his own. So at that time he had the opportunity to think about this, reflect upon what he had done. So to reflect what I did before, was that okay or not? He was able to reflect upon the teachings, for instance. So even though he didn't have such great knowledge, but not such detailed knowledge, but anyway, in any case, he did understand, from the point of view of the Dharma, he was able to understand where he had been mistaken. And as a result of that, he let go of his arrogance. He no longer adopted this attitude of arrogance, and instead, whoever he met, he generated fondness for them and respect and so forth. So at that time, he realized how happy he actually was. Even his enemies, those people that previously he had a problem with, they became his friends. So he ended up having lots of friends, and wherever he went, it was like he met people. He was very happy, and he himself felt very happy that now all these problems were basically gone, and instead, everywhere he went, everyone was happy.
Jezanta Alec Tambo de la Setaran la Suzuki Simtulu Chaya dan Guyambo Chaya Nyamyonji Trubumurada. Rimbe the Yundenti Geshe Tama Tabumures.
So therefore in this case, first initially one gains an understanding that with this kind of attitude one will be calmer and more peaceful, more relaxed. So just from the point of view of the happiness of this lifetime one will be happier and so forth, and then slowly one will become aware of all the other qualities of such an attitude.
Then Dini Chimbonigi Lam, that Teba Chimbola Shumigi, and Ikibuki Lam res, Tisumino, Dini Chimbonigi Lam. Rigdi Simjin Chimbute, Ditabi Tapsudi, Champagne Simjoy Tapsudi, and a Kibu Chimbo Simjin Chimbotuzuki and Dengores.
And so therefore this it says in verse 32, now this is the great path, so the great path, the aspect on which great sentient beings depend upon or rely upon.
Simjin Kunla Deterui Padi Shinurui. Simjin Kunla. Any Dewa Tengi and Kiborto Pabi Tabzudi, the Yishing Noburan res, Situs and the Simjima Imagine.
So then he goes on to say, the exalted one that bestows happiness on each sentient being is a wish-fulfilling jewel. So here in the sense that that which gives, so sentient beings giving one's happiness is like a wish-fulfilling jewel, where here the wish-fulfilling jewel basically refers to the attitude that cherishes others.
Jezanta Shenche Berzimba di Katsu Chigi Chiru Tangi Tsugi, Nachibu Samokorde, the Chungrua.
So therefore, the stronger one's attitude of cherishing others, to the same degree one's sense of me, of I, of just thinking of oneself will decrease.
Dendima Chebachine, and Nachibu Samokorde by Nati Samlo di Shu Chiru Trodi, Chenzashibuda. Mitsama Susula Kabuchigong and Sigurchigong and Soro, Canada Laguamar Duna. And then Mida Mire the Tana Namshi Dunze, Susuba and Tungu Batavaji. Tindigi and Tebaji Leon, this and that you have Merota. Chilong Obatanju Susuba Nation to Beji Yomara, Dingage, Dimede and Namshi Desmartine, Tam Makibache, and Michi such Namjur Tichevaine, and Makibache, till the Kibu Dynamia Yomarta.
On the other hand, if one doesn't engage in this practice, or one doesn't generate the attitude of wishing to benefit others, if there's only a sense of me, the self-grasping, the selfishness, well, the stronger that gets, the weirder it becomes. It becomes so weird in the sense that one expects others to respect oneself, to consider oneself as important, to regard oneself as important, and so forth. One doesn't necessarily express this. However, that's the attitude, that's the kind of expectation that one holds. To such a degree, one even expects the weather to act according to one's wishes. So basically, one gets upset basically when the weather, when the things don't work according to one's own wishes, when things don't happen the way one wants them to happen with regard to other sentient beings, and even with regard to the weather. One gets upset with the weather. Therefore, this is the kind of attitude that this leads to, basically, this kind of attitude of selfishness.
Tendrigi Shenche Bertin, the Combedo Tambaina, Susugi Tsetaranle, and the Semhle Chaire, Subutuden La Pere, and a Topomabonier, the Takimamusunde, Zuzama, Monera, La Linkana, this Susunum Yungi to be wedding in Tichadera.
If on the other hand, one's attitude of cherishing others will be stronger, if this attitude grows stronger, then just from the point of view of this lifetime, one will be so much happier. One will be healthier, one will have many friends or more friends. So this is what His Holiness usually describes that as like an advantage of cherishing others. And it's through our own experience that we can come to understand those advantages just from the point of view of this lifetime.
Michigi and Miti to Shadows and Tingal Nason Lavaina, Mazuke Choina, Kola Mixi Gaoina, Namsam are tender.
So for instance, it sometimes happens when someone we like, if they point at another person and criticize this other person and says they harm me, etc., if we like the person who says this, then we agree with them. We naturally agree with them, feeling that they're right, criticizing this other person.
That simply chose Luna when they talk to women. That chose my lonely meaning. 이런 게 매대비 미니 아니 디치 묘다디 레온데 그 묘다디 차상하지 녀라 거디지데 양 파저디 묘다디 차상 녀사디 신의 콜레 카맹이 nen가디 니가 로기 아니 나가 스티체 신진진 용자 묘다 참마 딜 토데레 마도 상당한 논지데 주구주가 좀 타지도 디두자를 라에 제메바디 무슨 세부 통도부도
So therefore, if we have a partial kind of attitude, then we're not really able to see things in an objective way. Whereas on the other hand, if we have an impartial attitude, in the case of, for instance, two people fighting with one another or having an argument or a problem with one another, if we have an impartial attitude and we carefully listen to both parties, then we will understand in both cases, listening to their problems, listening to their complaints, we will understand, oh, they're not really to blame what they have done. Of course, this is natural that they have this problem. And of course, what we come to understand that in both cases, no matter what the actual problem was, in both cases, the self-cherishing, the self-cherishing, the self-grasping is too strong, and they're lacking the attitude of cherishing others. So it becomes quite obvious that this basically, both of the problems is the absence of cherishing others and too strong of self-grasping.
That's a deal of Masse and it's a chimale that Pendo Touch Sechimi Digitamche, that Shinchebers Maltene to Ware.
But with regard to cherishing others, not only does it bring benefit in this lifetime, it also brings us happiness and well-being in future lifetimes.
Just a champagne is simply a to stand at Toina, the wet Ranshin Kedora. Lake Kanche saw Chegmare. Mi shingi solo nebi so chegumare shingi panjo lonjo nebi kuma jagumare shingi tolo nebi eni page ajeta diba mambuchi ta pechewa ta dus rangshingi kedor ta.
Because the reason being that if our attitude of cherishing others improves, if it enhances, then as a result of that we naturally refrain from engaging in negative action. So we naturally refrain from killing others, we naturally refrain from taking possessions of others, stealing their possessions, engaging in activities that are harmful and so forth. So it'll be as a natural consequence of cherishing others, we'll refrain from those negative actions.
Ani sardu masawa mase ngarsa sabi tigo yoba yine chamningji shuchimbuche na tadure.
And not only will we no longer accumulate new non-virtuous actions, but through the force of love and compassion, we will likewise purify those negativities we have accumulated in the past.
Chomdendigi chanju semba jidenkam digi chanju semba duzula ta semso so ta semso dabure ta dini sonya. Jideng ngembati le jeba yina yang Tiding in Badili Jeva in a Kajirsana, Tibasai Goma Boyer, Dindine, and a sim shungo maris. Any Page Nyawali Kechojo, some Kechojogi Tibachimbuji Yuba in a Keranichi Shukchimbuji getting ready to Titsama Taru rest in the soil.
So, for instance, the Buddha, the present Buddha Shakyamuni, when he talked to the bodhisattvas of this world, so he basically consoled them. He gave them advice, or he consoled them at one time by saying, well, on one hand, of course, we were born into a world where there's a lot of negative, occurrences and so forth, and it's very easy. So there are many doors to non-virtue. Basically, being born in this world, there are many doors to non-virtues. But you should not be disheartened. He advised them not to be disheartened. He says, okay, so even though being born in this world, there are many opportunities, or there are many dangers of basically accumulating non-virtues that lead you into the hell realms or rebirth in the lower realms. But on the other hand, there are also many opportunities of generating compassion and of purifying these negativities.
Kanshir chikten satiru lunga yiki dikchete nison sumdu tungen da jamsemti chardu chans jamba chimbu chisimje tanjani myo jamningji ji keonde digi dindigi nison sumdu tungen da
So it's basically saying that in this world, these negativities that will lead you to fall into these different kind of negative states. Therefore, through love and compassion, you can immediately basically purify them. You can very quickly get rid of them or overcome those. So this is what it said. What he said.
디바사지 샤바체고 삼바딘디요나 잠밍지 겁나 다 역시 지차도 산지랑이 송도.
So therefore the Buddha says basically that if we've accumulated non-virtue or non-virtuous actions, the best way to purify those non-virtuous actions is through generating love and compassion for sentient beings.
다 시갈라모 아니 잠바 친분이 지신부 깨나다 아장장 가상라 메말 라바나 신시 잠바 춘중지 미치라메베지 깨바이네 되게 아니 손을 좋아지 된돌이게 괜찮기도 하.
So at the time of death then, if we are able to generate great love and great compassion towards all sentient beings, we don't need to talk about that. So even at the time of death, if we only generate love for one person, it has been explained that that will hinder us from, that will prevent us from being born in the lower realms. So therefore generating love and compassion is beneficial from the point of view of being reborn in happy realms and to not be reborn and to avoid rebirth in the lower realms. And even if everything goes wrong at the time of death, and instead of being reborn in the higher realms, one is born as a dog, at least one will be a kind-hearted dog, a dog who engages in positive behavior.
다 찾아라모지 간지 냐와를 제제 냐와를 제비 제라 아니 코랑기 디 신제 냐와를 제겐데 코랑기 아말라 디 다두샤제 고르 동자슈 고공제 지메체바 디진게 인게바디 체네 다 만나 신진에 디디징에 참마 다 만나신 냐와를 제지 동행 용그래 딘디 인자 다 댕친제 딘디기 디버징에 참마 수제 데르게 먹어제 동에 참마 만나 미네 이 삽치기 인생은 인도제바 다가라네 디버디기도 저세 알라르게 디소요.
So there are the different tales of the Buddha when he was a bodhisattva, so of his previous lives. And so there's one story of his previous lives where the Buddha as an ordinary or as a non-Buddha, as a sentient being, was reborn in the hell realm. And so he was born in the hell realm, and he was aware of this. He was aware of having been reborn in the hell realm. And so when he reflected upon the conditions that gave rise to this rebirth, he came to understand that the reason was he basically hit his mother over the head without looking. He wasn't concerned for her at all. He just very brutally hit her over the head. And so as a result of this negative action, in hurting his mother in such a way, he was reborn in the lower realms or in the hell realm. And so after having understood the cause for this rebirth, he then started to think that may whoever engages in the same action, whatever negativity they have accumulated, may that negativity ripen upon me. May all their negative actions which could lead to this rebirth ripen upon me. So with this great attitude of love and compassion, he generated such an attitude. And as a result of that strong attitude, he was liberated. He basically died in the hell realm, and instead he left the hell realm and instead was reborn in the celestial realm.
제자 먼저 시간을 포화 접시에 줘라. 다 포화나니 초도 주르버디 신빙이 심지 깨토나 디 포화 초차들.
So usually we talk of the practice of power or transference of consciousness at the time of death. But the best practice of power, the best transference of consciousness at the time of death is the practice of love and compassion. That is the best or the sublime of the power practices.
저지 발레 아디샤기 다 코랑기 다 기주조 동tem바체 아니 군주님기 니게 투몽기 기주조 다 디레 기시보도와 코랑기 에네 종갈라몬들 최숭기숭기라 엔 바라질 잠샤제 아니 심진 크레메바 캬메바 부니메바 대다기다 군제 부니도 줄치스 다라고무서.
So Atisha and his main disciple Drumtempa, they had a common disciple called Geshe. So Geshe at the time of his death, when he was about to die, he was giving teachings, and just after having given those teachings, he recited this verse, he recited this line saying, "Those sentient beings who have no protection, who have no refuge, who have no one to help them, may I become their refuge, may I become their protector." And having said that, immediately after that, he passed away. Geshe passed away.
Tina Shinji Jawa Kundin Gebagi Yongzi, and in Koran that Tongala Montilla Junjugi, and the Chanju Sim Sumbigi, Kadugi Tijtua, Chanju Sim Tasimje Tamjela Pembachi, or Disungi Sungalan Taran to Skombatsa.
Likewise, the eighth Dalai Lama, also at that time when he passed away, at the moment of his death, he recited a particular verse which basically summarizes bodhicitta from the Bodhisattva way of life by Shantideva, saying that may I benefit all sentient beings and so forth. And immediately after he recited those lines, he passed away. So therefore, as a result of cherishing other sentient beings, of giving up the attitude of harming sentient beings, that leads to rebirth in the higher realms, that leads to rebirth in the celestial or human realm. And so as a result of benefiting sentient beings, in particular with regard to resources, that will lead to wealth and resources in future lives. As a result of working for the benefit of others, motivated by love and by patience, one will be attractive, one will be physically beautiful, handsome and attractive. If likewise one practices respect towards all sentient beings, then as a result of that, in a future life, sentient beings will respect oneself. So in short, therefore, whatever happiness from the point of view of samsaric happiness one can experience in the future life, well, those are the result of love and compassion, the practice of love and compassion. And likewise, if with regard to this attitude of wishing to benefit sentient beings, when this enhances, when this grows stronger, and one generates the wish to benefit all sentient beings, in the sense of understanding that it is important to become a Buddha, understanding that it's possible to become a Buddha, and then generating the wish to become a Buddha, generating an attitude that is uncontrived, the uncontrived aspiration to become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, then one becomes a Bodhisattva. And then with regard to reaching the state of a Buddha, well, in terms of the practices one engages in the practice of the 6 paramitas, which become effortless, which become easy to engage in when conjoined with the attitude that wishes to benefit sentient beings. So if on the other hand one does not have the attitude that wishes to benefit other sentient beings, if that attitude is missing, well, that is as if the seed for enlightenment was missing. So it would be like there's no seed for enlightenment. So without this attitude, it would be as if one were to water the soil without there being a seed inside. So with the seed missing, however one waters the soil, there won't be any result. And so without that kind-hearted kind of attitude, one will not be able to engage in the practice of the 6 paramitas for a long time. One will not be able to engage in those practices in the first place.
Dindigi Simdi Mena, Sanji Bikulu to Womar, Karesana, Kazan Labanashi, Peggy Kasure, Pensem Dani, Techima Penji, Samlo, maybe Tony Chimba, Suba, Karcheva Ine, Di Givokara Satu Mendo. That Chimagi Chidu Ina, and Chiko Kulu to Ware, Dendula Jibicula, Tabatobi Chidu Kuno, di Tony Chinso Perchin Cheba Ina, Tabatobi Kulsum to Ware, Genta Sanji Bicula Joella. And Tindigi Jamiji Jusimki Simbi Tony Chena, Shine Sanji Biculu Totugore.
And so if one doesn't have this attitude, if one doesn't have this attitude of wishing to benefit others and so forth, well, one won't have the cause that leads one to enlightenment. And also, as explained before, if those are missing, love, compassion, patience, and so forth, if these states of mind are missing, our activities will not become those of virtue. And then with regard to if one engages in virtuous action then, and one has the wish to become liberated, well, all one will reach then is the state of liberation. One will be liberated from samsara, but without love, compassion, and so forth, one will be unable to generate the fully enlightened state of a Buddha.
Jezanta Sanjegi Kyu, and a Persian to Yebe Nalone, that Chimba Sutum Sevasumdi, that Sanjegi, that Sugutu Bijuche.
So therefore, with regard to the cause so being the cause of enlightenment, and here when we talk about the 6 paramitas, so the 6 paramitas of those 6, the first 3, generosity, morality, and patience, they are regarded to be the causes, or they're described as the causes for the Rupakaya, or the form body of a Buddha.
Any someday the Sherab the Chugu to be Juche, Zundi Nigai Juche to Share.
Whereas the last 2, meditative concentration as well as wisdom, they're described as the cause for the Dharmakaya, or the wisdom body of a Buddha, while the 4th paramita, that of diligence, is considered to be a cause of both the Rupakaya and the Dharmakaya of a Buddha.
Chisanta Chugu to Ladi. Nyumondang Digi Shabi Pacha Shidi Digi di Zama Sune, di Meba, da Gyungi Chadi Meba, maybe Chadi, Tachuki.
So when we talk of the Dharmakaya, or the wisdom body of the Buddha, it refers to the Buddha from the point of view of the aspect that is purified of the afflictions, of the afflictive obscurations, as well as the cognitive obscurations. In other words, of all the faults. It refers to this aspect of this purified body of the Buddha.
So
that which eliminates these faults is mainly the wisdom realizing emptiness. This is what purifies or eliminates these obscurations. However, Hira practitioners who realize emptiness directly, even though when they take this wisdom and they absorb into this wisdom realizing emptiness for many eons, they will not be able to eliminate the cognitive obscurations, the obscurations to omniscience. In order for the wisdom realizing emptiness to eliminate cognitive obscurations to enlightenment, one needs bodhicitta. Therefore, in the sutras it says that bodhicitta is like a vajra, is like a thunderbolt, or like a vajra. So there's different ways in which it's like a sorry, I used the wrong translation for here, vajra, a diamond. It's a better word. Instead of thunderbolt, to use the word diamond. So there are different ways in which there are different reasons for why the sutra explains bodhicitta to be like a diamond. Well, one way is that it enables the wisdom realizing emptiness to pierce through.
Oti lodi sanenge chik samlo ju khorso ngema chik thongjo shi ngone yime kanshi unzu de lojola ta chu me inza sawon tengu do sawon tengi sayina da testaren samja tal thu do tal da darwaro ditse de la phalam yores tinde konyu ngone yina me kanshi ta kharisa chabu digiti ta isang piye de phalam dig chu ke chigo mara da ba oti lamsa samlo khors
동만이 피버치비치로스 다 배동일 찌칭버지마 배 주투베디 히라디 안 전주생디 마가르나 제til라 아니 디 익사피토고
So basically, when Geshe read about this in the sutra, describing bodhicitta to be like a diamond because of its piercing property, he was reminded of something that he encountered in South India in the monastery. In the monastery where he lived or where he studied, there were no rivers. There were no rivers from where they could get their water. So water was usually the way the monastery got its water. By digging a hole in the ground and using the groundwater. And it's sometimes when there were rocks in the ground, it was the machine that actually drilled this hole was unable to go deep enough. And so they used a diamond. So the drill had a diamond at its top in order to be able to drill through this very hard material. So Geshe said that reminded him of bodhicitta here, that with the wisdom realizing emptiness, if it is not conjoined with bodhicitta, then it doesn't have that diamond-like capacity that it can drill deeper or pierce deeper. Whereas on the other hand, if it is conjoined with bodhicitta, the wisdom realizing emptiness, it can pierce deeper.
아니 남주인다 소야 디레다 점리지 전주생기도는 손놈기 소 잡딘 숙침보면은 안토니도 비시르 시티포에 니벌리고 말이스.
And usually what it says that if you don't have the support of the merit that is accumulated through the practice of love, compassion and bodhicitta, then the wisdom realizing emptiness, if that support is missing, it will be unable, the wisdom realizing emptiness will be unable to eliminate cognitive obscuration, that is obscurations to omissions.
And 딘디장장 디시 샘감기 토네 디시 자주여서래 단다 카시 토닝 공긴 카시 딘데 라이도 니중저보 야나 심뱅이 셈저보 지게제 디다 자네 토니 성다나 초라 믹시 리도스 디마힘버지 천리번의 신진 카도 코르도 성다샤나 슉시라면도 초라시라면도 딘데 라긴 용구도
But Geshe feels that this cannot be the only reason why bodhicitta is so effective when it comes to the mind realizing emptiness. So from a psychological point of view, there must also be a reason why bodhicitta makes this wisdom more effective. For instance, Geshe is saying that some of the meditators, from their own experience, they talked about the fact that when they conjoined the wisdom realizing emptiness merely with I forgot the word. Renunciation. Sorry. when they conjoin the wisdom realizing emptiness merely with renunciation, as opposed to conjoining it with the mind with the bodhicitta, there's a difference in feeling. So there's a much greater feeling when their mind realizing emptiness is conjoined with bodhicitta. And so therefore, as scientists would probably talk about it, scientists would basically describe this, that there's more of a force, there's more of a force behind this wisdom if it is conjoined with bodhicitta as opposed to renunciation.
가르스나 감강로 교시 슈다고 제디요 말이스. 라도 남샤 균도 니중 그바사 마세 카두들 파기 토발라 못들 교 니중 슈 잡으지기 토네 아니 신이 무슨 더 봐야 딘지지 숨고도.
Usually in the scriptures you find this explanation that just before the path of seeing is generated in your continuum, you cannot be residing in one of the higher realms, the form or the formless realm, in order for that path of seeing, that direct realization of emptiness to rise in your mental continuum. The reason being that you need to have a very strong sense of wariness of samsara, a strong sense of wariness of samsara, which cannot arise in those higher realms. So therefore, just before you can realize emptiness directly, you must be able to generate the strong renunciation for cyclic existence.
that tizu dos tana yongchodwa.
So likewise here, in order to eliminate cognitive obscurations here, in order to be able for the wisdom to grow strong enough, to grow sharp enough, to be able to cut through these obscurations, you need the force of this mind. You need the power of this particular mind of bodhicitta, which is then able to cut through, to pierce through these obscurations.
So in
that way, the mind that wishes to benefit sentient beings assists the wisdom realizing emptiness, or this particular wisdom.
Sajubi dona lola karison resena sajiba tawjudi ani ta nyumon pangche nyumon pangba yinza ta toni la kalbi bodu ta nyamar shatubi ta nibo tawju warda.
No, see. However, it says in the 10 ground or 10 bhumi sutra, it says that once a bodhisattva reaches the 8th bhumi, the 8th ground or 8th bhumi, he or she has eliminated afflictive obscurations. And from that point onwards, once these afflictive obscurations have been eliminated, this bodhisattva now has the capacity to remain in the direct realization of emptiness for many eons, to remain absorbed in that meditative equipoise for many eons. So therefore, from that point of view here, this person has reached, this bodhisattva on the 8th ground has reached liberation, has reached nirvana. So we don't need to talk about all these paranormal, supernatural abilities that this bodhisattva has achieved, clairvoyance and so forth, because they are already achieved on the 1st bhumi. And on each bhumi they're being multiplied, so more and more qualities are being added, which is why on the 8th ground then, this bodhisattva has achieved all these marvelous qualities.
O tindrigi saje batila sanje duzugi karisungu dusena ani kirangi ani ngar tangone ta simje tamjigi dundu semke bares dusu tengores ani ngegi ta ku pyunsun soba sung pyunsun soba ani tu kemba pyunsun soba ani shingam pyunsun soba ani we pyunsun soba dikirang le yomares digi di yongye chidu pesun chebores ani sebi godiyang mators ta toni musundu tobi lodi yuwe kicheta mares dila ani kalba momi bodi nyambar shaaje dikedi da tagi chola malaba ina jamnyingji chimba tsudim sueba dikedi le shuma jaba che kalbi bodi nyambar shaajo na ani sugu tatu wa marwa simje tamji dwenche tuye yo marwa chesan tanda dikedi kirana yo mare di chidu ani zunjike sin gui nangdo.
So at that time when the bodhisattvas have reached the 8th ground, so at that time, it's important for them to generate a special, to be reminded by the Buddhas of their special mind, the mind they've generated, the mind of bodhicitta, to be reminded of that. So basically what the Buddhas remind them of is saying that you have not yet reached the excellent body, the excellent kaya of a Buddha, the excellent speech of a Buddha, the excellent realization of a Buddha. You have not yet reached, you have not yet accomplished an excellent pure Ram or excellent radiance, physical radiance and so forth. So the Buddha reminds those bodhisattvas of these qualities that are yet to be accomplished or yet to be achieved, telling them they have to exert themselves, in particular now, to not let go of the wisdom realizing emptiness, but not at the same time to not be tempted into absorbing or into being absorbed into the direct realization of emptiness. Since there's still more work to be done, since in other words, this bodhisattva has to, on top of realizing emptiness, also engage in the practice of the other paramitas, of generosity, morality, patience. These practices, because at that point, this bodhisattva has not yet reached the rupa kaya of a Buddha. So this is what the Buddha reminds those bodhisattvas of, telling them you need to generate, you need to exert yourself, practice diligence to be able to reach this particular state.
So therefore
a person who's reached this 8th bhumi, who's got these amazing qualities, nonetheless, they still have to enhance their love, their compassion, their bodhicitta, and they have to enhance their practice of the paramita of generosity, of morality, and of patience.
Sanji o delay teacher or sungore and co teacher go that is something
But however, there are those that think, oh, maybe if they meditate for 2 or 3 hours on concentration, they will reach some levels of clairvoyance, and then very quickly they will become enlightened. So that is not true for someone who is on the 8th ground. If an 8th ground or an 8th Bhumi Bodhisattva still has to engage in all these practices of generosity, morality, and so forth, well, we don't need to mention someone who's a total beginner and who believes that just through the practice of a little bit of concentration they can reach Buddhahood. That's definitely impossible.
Digidi any Chamninji Changjusem Sohochini, any Chimba Sudim Subinyam Latin interviewer.
So therefore there were these 5 characteristics described earlier, and so those ones are accomplished, those ones are achieved mainly in dependence on love and compassion, but likewise also in dependence on the practice of generosity, morality, and patience.
So some of
those Geshe will explain through examples.
Tanda do pa nanglola yore, Palsang nanglola yore, di nangla karisung yore sena, ani simjin tong ndu sene, ani kongro mebi tone, jamnyingji ki tone. Mi tatang tinte taya diki lai miki ngushi chubo ares. Palsang.
So with regard to the quality of realization here, so as has been told before, so in the sutra, Pa, or in the Sutra of Great Increase, so in those sutras it is said that in dependence on seeing sentient beings, regarding sentient beings with love and compassion, regarding them with love and compassion, that becomes the cause, or that serves as the cause for generating the clairvoyance of the celestial eye. So in general, when we talk about the clairvoyance of the celestial eye, well, that is actually the main cause is described as being concentration or meditative concentration. But what is said here, what is explained here, for this particular clairvoyance to become pure, or to become of pure, of excellent quality, and to make it more marvelous or of greater quality than that of hearers and solitary realizers, you need bodhicitta. You need this practice of love and compassion. So basically here, a bodhisattva's clairvoyance of the celestial eye outshines that of the hearers and solitary realizers. And if on the other hand, one is able to bear, one is able to be patient and accept insult, verbal insult, that becomes a cause of the clairvoyance of the celestial ear. And if on the other hand one is able to refrain from harming sentient beings, from generating arrogance and so forth with regard to sentient beings, one is able to refrain from those, that becomes the cause of generating clairvoyance that knows of the sentient being's mind. And so if likewise one is able to, when one dedicates one's virtue towards all sentient beings, and or one dedicates and one refrains from non-virtuous actions, then this becomes the result of, this will cause or will lead to the clairvoyance that knows past lives, that realizes past and future lives, or is aware of past and future lives.
Ani shendagi ta lega kuyu tiche ondu ani tanglen cheche dik nashin trup tiche digi tsutu yungwe.
And so likewise, if one is able to work for the benefit of others, in other words, one helps others, or one engages in activities that are, like if others give one jobs to do, work to do, and one actually when it actually engages in those activities, that becomes the cause of the clairvoyance of miracle power.
Nishendala ta shinyun dang ta chöy na shinyun tisu cheyongdu des ta nenga tewa tisu pehni des kashi di yungu yusara ma shey bache dindi ma him bache ma pe bache ne tsama pajula pehmi simbi shey na digi ene saksegi munshi tuwe.
So then with regard to
saksegi munshi ta susugi
so with regard to, for instance, teaching other sentient beings, sharing one's qualities, basically teaching the Dharma. So Geshe is saying there can be some cases of someone being stingy or keeping one's understanding secret and not wanting to share with others. So without that kind of stinginess, without hiding whatever one's knowledge one has, but instead one teaches it freely to other sentient beings for their benefit, that will lead one, basically it means, actually the literal translation of this particular clairvoyance is of eliminating contaminations, but what it really, to translate it in a looser sense, is clairvoyance which is able to perceive, which through clairvoyant abilities one is able to perceive one's own spiritual qualities, or one is able to see spiritual qualities. So likewise, if one offers light, so like butter lamps and lamps and so forth, to sentient beings, that will become, this will also lead to clairvoyance. This will result in the clairvoyant powers, in the clairvoyance of the celestial eye. So basically these are all examples that illustrate that the qualities of a Buddha, the clairvoyant qualities of the Buddhas, they are all the result of attitudes of wishing to benefit sentient beings. So likewise, we talk about the different qualities of the Buddha's body. So to talk about the major and minor signs of a Buddha's body. So all those are the result of benefiting sentient beings. So the fact that all these different marks and signs of a Buddha, that they have been accomplished in dependence on the attitude that wishes to benefit sentient beings, has been mentioned, has been described in the Ratnavali, as well in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra of 25,000 verses. The way how each of these signs, the major and minor signs of a Buddha, how they've all been accomplished as a result of the practice of the paramitas. This has been described in the Sutra of Fortune. So in the Sutra of Fortune, these particular causes have been described. Again, is losing his voice.
Sanjegi sung ani kyune kae meeting be nyembo yeding katsu nyemba yine mo me meeting be salbo yedeba tende yonghe di ani ngama chikzubu da ani duso pangbe digi ani di namin la tos yung gore.
And also likewise when we talk about the speech of the Buddha, so not losing your voice, your speech being eloquent, being used, not losing its power, not losing its effectiveness and so forth. So all these different qualities of the speech of the Buddha, they're all the result of refraining from engaging in harsh speech and insulting speech. Geshe saying he's not being able to refrain from this effectively. Geshe's losing his voice. So and therefore what this means is that the qualities of the Buddha, the qualities of the different characteristics or attributes of the Buddha's body, they're all the result of the attitude or the attitudes wishing to benefit sentient beings. So similarly, with regard to the radiance of the Buddha, there's 32 different types of radiance of the Buddha. That's described in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras. So there's said to be, for instance, one particular type of radiance which is described as the radiance that provides all happiness. So that's the name of that particular radiance. So here when we think of radiance, when we think of the radiance of a Buddha, we think of usually something that we can perceive visually, like a radiance which we can see with our eyes. But here that's not what it refers to. It's a type of radiance that has like a wave-like quality. So similar to the radiance, for instance, or the radiating waves of a nuclear bomb, if you like. So it is said that the function of this particular radiance is such that when this radiance affects a person who's blind, they're able to see. If a person who's deaf, they're able to hear. Or any kind of sick person, it'll heal them. So this radiance, if it touches someone who has got these afflictions or these kind of impairments, it'll heal them. So this is explained to be the property of this particular radiance. So what is the cause? What is described to be the cause of this particular radiance? Well, giving to other sentient beings medicine, giving to them kind of nectar, medicinal nectars and so forth. Nowadays it's giving vitamins, giving supplements becomes the cause, giving to sentient beings, to lamas and so forth, these supplements. So giving this, practicing generosity, giving these subjects, and then of course that has to be dedicated for the welfare of sentient beings. And then there's also the radiance of fearlessness. That's another type of radiance described as the radiance of fearlessness. So if this radiance, if someone is touched by that radiance, as a result of that, they will lose all fear. They will be able to overcome their fears and anxieties. And again, the cause of this particular type of radiance is at the time of a bodhisattva, while being a bodhisattva, engaging in practices that relieve the fear of sentient beings. And then there's likewise another type of radiance, the radiance of demonstrating Buddhas or of showing Buddhas. So this particular, the function of this particular radiance is that when a person is at the point of death, when they're about to die, when this radiance touches them, they have the appearance of Buddhas. They have this vision of Buddhas, and as a result of generating faith in those Buddha figures, they're not reborn in the lower realms, but instead are reborn in the celestial or human realms, that is in the fortunate realms.
Tiyongede yang ngama chanjusemel mishiga lamola ne sanje tenju sanje kubarte ani ko ya tenjo le chido tindi chibi kesatigi yang tiyongwar.
So the result, what is the cause of this? The cause that gave rise to that is that helping another person at the point of death, when they're about to die, to remind them of the Buddhas, to remind them of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, to show them photographs or show them images of Buddha and Bodhisattvas, and so in other words, to help them by way of the service, which an assistance, which helps them to generate these root virtues that enable this particular person to be reborn in the higher realms.
Tina shinshela lazanamda gi cheshi bi kizadi ene sanje kubala ngone simje tamje chido ngosha de dela tene weserjitu weserdige endos ma poyon de zane mitsu rangsing tumbucha tiwo ko nyinjo denge chinyi nyinjo denge tonating di chagor.
And then there's another type of radiance, which is the result of teaching the Dharma with an altruistic attitude towards other sentient beings, and then dedicating it towards one's own enlightenment. So this is the cause of a particular type of radiance, such that when this radiance affects sentient beings, it affects them in such a way that it makes them very intelligent, it makes them really attentive, and being able to come up with very intelligent questions, and the wish to listen to the Dharma, interest in the Dharma, and so forth. So this is what this radiance, how effective or what it affects.
So
in that way, these 32 different types of radiance have all been described as being the results of different attitudes wishing to benefit sentient beings. So then with regard to this radiance, some are able to be touched. So some are touched by that particular radiance and others are not. So in other words, not everyone is affected by this particular radiance.
Tindigi in Kesayuna, Nashine Wedi Legachigor. Tima Hindu Shewana Shinjin to Skutendo Mother, Horanda Tichituoma, Legachituoma.
So this again depends on the strength of one's merit. So being attached or being touched or affected by this particular radiance depends on sentient beings' strength of merit, their strength of love, compassion, and bodhicitta. It depends on how many offerings they've made to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and so forth. So all these particular practices, the strength of these practices lead to or result in a particular root virtue. And then if someone possesses this root virtue, they're able to be affected, they're affected by these radiance, these different types of radiance, whereas those who lack that particular root virtue, for them it's like they're like a mirror. They become like a mirror in that these radiation is merely reflected by it, but it's not actually effective in any way.
That's
it. So it's also been explained that similar with regard to the different pure realms that a Buddha accomplishes, again, they are the result of benefiting other sentient beings. And likewise, what is being described is as a result of, as already Geshe explained this previously, that as a result of giving up killing or refraining from killing, one is reborn in an environment, in a place that is free from dangers, free from poisonous substances, and so forth. So in that way, each of these causes are being described individually, but in common, what they all have in common is the virtue, is this common virtue that provides happiness for sentient beings.
아니 스스기 당과 딘디치고도 딘디치고도 세양 텐데나 저라마 좀 바이네 겐디랑 신기 체험이지도 지네 다 손은 빼껴버 쉬지 여바이나 가스에 배신 찍찍지가 지나 당은 좀 찍탱기지시나 람조로마 손라이데 지바지 양 람조마도 바지야 디레서 켜니 람조마도 딩이지 어딘지 요레스.
So, however greater this merit is, however the greater one's merit is, to that degree one will also be effective. One will be able to do the things that need to be done. So, merely by thinking, by just remembering, I should do such and such, even if one does not actively engages in the training or in the activity of what one has just remembered, nonetheless it will arise naturally. So, one will naturally engage in these activities that need to be done. Whereas on the other hand, someone who has not sufficient merit, who lacks this type of merit, well, the usually colloquial expression would be that this person is unlucky, that whatever they do, things don't go well for them, that whatever actions they engage in, they're just not lucky. So that is a sign, or that is an indication of someone requiring or lacking the required merit. So it says, the Buddha says that a person of merit is able to accomplish all wishes, is able to accomplish all thoughts.
산제기 nindu chimbu shi ani ngonso milata pentosho gi chala kharres Geshe bi kabla kashi gi sori ba ta kashi yarda en konzo shi mita sanje peje kari Geshe yus antinde shi yus na sanje gi konzo shi sunye de member che na sonum dire sun.
At some point there were some, at the time of the Buddha, there were some heroes and other beings who came together to discuss what is the most beneficial thing, what is it that is most beneficial. So some came up with the ability to heal others, different people had different ideas. But when the Buddha heard about that discussion, he contributed his own opinion. He said that the thing that is most beneficial is merit.
And
so from there, I mean, this is how this story kind of started, and from there, this story was told of the Bodhisattva who was called the power of merit, so powerful merit. That was the name of this Bodhisattva. So the story was told after this particular incident of discussing what is most beneficial.
pensho karres ene suzuzibire la kashigi sherabre kashigi zundire kashigi sori ani di machamba inza kunzo taji je chido sususuti de 공기 je chido ani ngonzo de dene ngonzo shen pento mares dane sawe tone suji hamne chodo chinje 기갑 신다지 친 다 수수기 전당대 때다 수수 공기 je chido chimar.
So the story is that of four princes who had come together to exactly discuss this exact point. What is the most beneficial thing there is? So some would say that is wisdom, some would say it's diligence, others would say it's medicinal abilities. And anyway, so they were not able to really agree with each other, and they came to the solution, they came to the conclusion that it's best that everyone kind of sets out to different areas, to different places, to find out what is actually most effective. So they went out into different countries to basically figure out what is the most important thing.
신다 참마기 수수수 탑시디 비제 단지 된다 하나 간선 줘요.
네.
전주 선배들도 맛이 교환 아마 챙거. 그런데 수놈들 이치리에디. 교환 아마 챙비 톤데 수놈들 니버 시부지 바디 이치요. 네. 강준의 수놈이 니버 때 된다라. 아니 룸바티는 미상 교보 지나나 친제 내가 개체면 미상 교보티는 내가 야로지라. 거의 신기가 붙이니 야 페이스라는 내가 대야.
네. So basically these other three, they went to different countries, and whatever was their idea with regard to what is most effective, they put that into practice, and they were rather successful. Many of them were quite successful. However, of these four, there was the Bodhisattva of powerful merit. So this Bodhisattva, he was able to remember past lives. So he remembered his past lives, and he was aware of the great power of merit, having accumulated great merit himself. And so what he did was, he went to a very poor kind of family, and right away they liked him. So he didn't even have to ask for accommodation. He was invited by them to stay with them. So without having to ask for accommodation, he was basically invited in there. Right away liked him. So from the moment he moved into that house, he started renting one of their rooms. From that point onwards, the owner of the house was able to accomplish whatever he wished for. So in this family, everything basically went according to their wishes. So he was considered to be like a god. They regarded him like a god.
Lumba digi kebo di chongje ta mi sunan chimbuchi ani kebe bugu samarwa ko ko dos lane ani ta sunan chimbu suyo res dos ta zeje chen tradewe karo kharan diwaje chamjamji chin ani ko inser dos ni ko de lugi ludu zege ani kharan ha ko yamare wa ne do se medopema chimbu chi do se medopema kana ne de che an timba do suyonje timba di zobe deje zai ni ma chawe yusero kharan khadu de yama gujo ma ja bache an midze di thongmada ta ti sona chimare shasla de kwike wasja.
So in this particular country where this Bodhisattva was living, well, as it happened, the king passed away, but he didn't have any son and no one to take on the reign of the king. And so the ministers and everyone around the king decided now the person to be the new king should be the person of greatest merit. And at that point, around that time, this particular Bodhisattva was kind of walking somewhere, and then he decided he felt sleepy, he lay down to sleep. And so where he was lying down to sleep, the Nagas from underneath the earth, to provide him with some cushion basically, they brought these lotus flowers and kind of raised them above, so he was sleeping on these lotus flowers. And the cloud in the sky, because the sun was quite strong, but the cloud moved in such a way that it provided enough shadow for this particular Bodhisattva. So when other beings saw this, when the beings of the ministers and so forth, they saw this, they decided, oh, this being has the greatest merit.
Sangye shishubi kagi loju chi yore ta kunzu taji longen duzu taji cheji ta taji di tata tiki yone mena kanji taji cherida.
So there's another story from the time of the Buddha. So this needs to be examined. So those who beg, beggars, they should really investigate whether this is true.
Mizanji la buguji ke ne sungde lamjo manjo wache toru ane pamani kali tong an digi ne mizan yobo changmangi ta di bugu di be sunam 맹이지를 샷 디념도 되는 원소래 디 칼라보다 슈징이 버테그스는 요네 참하게 요네 텐진 도진 빵빵장 차르다.
So there was once a family that had a boy, and this boy was very unlucky. Was a very unlucky boy. Like the worst things happened to this particular child. So at some point the parents passed away, so the child became an orphan, and then the servants of the family, they decided that whatever negative there was, all the negative things happened to this boy. So since this boy is so unlucky, they were worried that would affect them, that they would be affected by that kind of lack of luck. And so therefore they deserted the boy, so that this boy was totally left on his own, and he became like a poor beggar.
And longen duzula ta kunzu chobachi yor mimangbu nyamdo yorwa namjinda minjawa chuntengra nimani sumji.
So then this boy, he went to a community of beggars. Like there usually was like a community of beggars kind of sticking together, but when he joined this community, for 2 or 3 days none of the beggars got any money.
아니 컨제가 같이랬으나 언제나는 미소는 멤버지 레이서레스.
So they came to the conclusion, oh, there must be someone who's lacking merit who's joined our community. Someone must have joined us who's lacking merit.
디타제 같이랬으나 두분이당 두부지 파조철당 두부지 수지철도 롱자.
So how did they investigate this? They made 2 groups. They created 2 groups. One group went to beg here and another group went to beg there. So the group that this particular boy went together with, they didn't get anything. So that this group group that didn't get anything, again they divided into two groups.
야 터트선 셔들 말아.
And again, the group that he belonged to didn't get any money when they went to beg.
근데 타마 미니 사네. 니 콜라 말아로. 콜르셔서.
And so lastly, there were only, the groups had been split up in so many ways that there was only this unfortunate boy and someone else. And so basically in this way, they again divided those two into two. The one who didn't get anything, that's how I found out. He's the one who doesn't have enough merit, so they kicked him out of that community.
가린 가제티 롱긴디 슈라 아니 좀nen디기 지수진지 아니 다좀 보면 더요.
However, this particular boy who had become a beggar, well, eventually he encountered the Buddha, he met the Buddha, and he became an arhat.
지르소놈기 삼된 주베디 지용제 단다 진제 정원나라 이나 우마진제 정원나 진베 롱제 팀기 데스니 수수수수수 미세기 레가제리 요르와 디나노 닝제베는 등근 주스 닝제디 안된다 주부레스 삼된 주베라 레가 슈침치기레 손
So in general, we talk about merit, the presence of merit which has certain result, but in particular, Nagarjuna's Ratnavali very specifically says that from generosity come resources, from morality comes happiness, and so forth. So there are particular results that are set forth in this text. In particular, what it talks about is, it particularly describes love and compassion, the loving attitude and compassion as that which accomplishes all aims.
Tati jajik jatan ba tire tindita lavthogo marde chikchena di nyohegi tubegi rewayor.
So those of you who are younger, you have the opportunity to investigate this further, that if you adopt this attitude of wishing to benefit other sentient beings, thinking of their benefit, working for their benefit, praying for them and so forth, at some point you will probably find that your effort in benefiting others becomes effortless. All these obscurations are no longer there and you become able to effortlessly help others. Of course, we cannot say that this is 100% because of such and such, but it's definitely something that needs to be considered.
Jizanda chimba chudim ani seba tizu yutone sonamgi cho zoyongdi sanji gi samden samatu ani samden karesna tachi duta shinla kanla kari pengi karigi tone pengi yene di rewa kontobegi di joyongdi ta kupun so sumpun so batu tusleje.
So in this way, by way of these ripening, so the ripening of generosity, morality, patience, and so forth. When these kind of attitudes, when they ripen by way of in the way of the accomplishment of the Buddha. So the Buddha's accomplishment, in the sense that that the Buddha is that it ripens in the form of the kayas or the qualities of a Buddha, which in turn then works for the benefit or is active in the effort to benefit sentient beings.
The Dinetse Tobo Jeondi, that Chanjisemgi, Captain Yubitone, Tony, Dichi, Shitip says, Denzingi Pachase, Denzin Pachase, do Kuno Yomar, Nichu Dishi, Nituba Ditu, Dindi Kuno Yomar.
So then with regard to a higher level, when we take it to a higher level here, so with the support of bodhicitta, so with the support here, then what is eliminated is the self-grasping attitude, the attitude that grasps a true existence together with the imprint. And with regard to this, there's no motivation, I want to eliminate this or the other, so the wisdom itself does not hold that kind of motivation.
아니 군놈에 디자네 컨디스 다 저와지고 그러시도 hun주도 주버지네. 저는 hun주도 주버 인상 가디오레스나 미모모냠도 대여버 이내 제도선에 가시 군동원 부지리 가시 세부지리 수수수도 참버지 제용고래. 제선다 배는 사두저이나 사배 또 수부친구 쉬거든요 여다. 근데 제가 있나 안 콘서상에서 취시와 연대 상계 친구지 통거로. 근데 요 말에 코란스를 때 쉬어지 이걸.
So basically it leads to the effortless activity of the Buddhas, in the sense that there's no motivation, Buddha doesn't have a motivation as such. So here, why does the Buddha work for the benefit of sentient beings? Well, this is described as the spontaneous, effortless activity of a Buddha. such that whoever a Buddha encounters, or whoever encounters a Buddha, so the Buddha would act according to their needs, according to their aspirations and predispositions. So depending on, for instance, like celestial beings here. So the celestial beings, when the Buddha approaches them, they manifest with a particular body that is in accordance with their needs. So usually a celestial being's body is very long. It's a huge body. It's a very big body. And so it's not that the Buddha's manifest as very small, that the kind of celestial beings look down upon the Buddha, but rather the Buddha manifests, when it manifests in front of celestial beings, he's slightly taller than them. So in that sense, the Buddha manifests in a way which is most beneficial to each individual. So therefore, or likewise, when the Buddha teaches the Dharma, then depending on the different languages, so each person who listens to the Dharma perceives the teachings in their own language, so that they can understand what the Buddha has been teaching.
And the Geshe ta tering litamera, Geshe Lucians, Geshe Lutukawachi Vikapche, Geshe Che Sungshinbache, Geshe Yangale Tebitsebache, Susuyur, Concept Gucci Tisama.
And also what is explained in the sutras, that with regard to this world system, so at the same time as the Buddha, as a supreme emanation body, it comes to this particular world. Well, in each of the billion worlds, so there are billion Buddhas who manifest in each of those world systems, each manifesting different activities. So some manifest the activity of just being born, some manifest the activity of becoming enlightened, others manifest the activity of turning the wheel of Dharma, and so forth.
Simple 탐지기 다 레와공 규칙스 탐지기 인도디 샘디 양내 양도 장에 미부 조비 왕게니 충분히 소요.
So this ability to spontaneously and effortlessly benefit sentient beings, that is the result of having again and again generated the aspiration of wanting to fulfill all of sentient beings' hopes. So that's the result of that particular aspiration.
In Nitsudi, Tindigi Nedan de Ribetu Gona, Niela, Tembashi Senemendo, Tendayana Juni Ribetu, Namjun Yondradi. And the Ribetu Sasuna, Ribetu to Jumba in a Tigala and Umintawa Nebeka. It is Shila Shabitone and Shidigu on the chip, Tendayana Juni CH. Then Namjun Ale Minge Shidako, Konyum Shida Yomare. Kaje or Tindigi, any Di Ribetu, the Tata Shingure, the Kachane. Shine and Tandagi Shade in Nedan. So
basically, to understand this situation, to understand this particular fact here, we need to depend on reasoning. We need to rely on the different types of reasoning. So we should start off with understanding the reasoning that are presented with regard to the Four Noble Truths, as well as the 12 links. So basically applying reasoning and first gaining an understanding of the Four Noble Truths and the 12 links. And thereafter, what we need to do then is to generate an understanding or cultivate an understanding of the view of the middle way, the Madhyamika view. And based on that, the view of emptiness, or the view of the middle way, on the basis of that, we then reflect upon cognitive obscurations, in particular, here, the 12 links with regard to cognitive obscurations. So usually, there are not many people who have even heard of this, who haven't even heard of the 12 links from the point of view of cognitive obscurations. But in any case, so it's important to understand those 12 links from the point of view of cognitive obscurations, and once that understanding has been gained, then these inconceivable abilities of a Buddha, slowly they will appear to the mind, and one will have some kind of comprehension, some kind of understanding of what these inconceivable qualities refer to, and that they're actually possible.
Jezanta sanje chela sugu phunsun soba yorde inenti tonheme bakaresina shieme ba tonheme bakaresina digi kyubchedi zoya marwa manzo ina manzo ledi zodo di shiruwa ta tanda di
semje 탐지기 체도 남가 마세기 버도 닝도 디케제 아니 개와바도 메부 조샤도 개와들 체균이메도 조해균이메다 지지도 아니 코티 조해메 비중전식디레
So one of the reasons why a Buddha's kaya does not die, in the sense it does not degenerate, does not go out of existence, well, the reason for it is that in our case, the reason we die, the reason our body goes out of existence is that our karma is finished. That at some point our karma finishes and we die, we pass away. On the other hand, the causes and conditions that give rise to a Buddha, so basically the attitude of wishing to benefit limitless sentient beings, infinite sentient beings, so that basically leads to infinite existences in the sense that one generated that aspiration to be there for the benefit of limitless sentient beings, infinite sentient beings, and therefore one's existence is also limitless and infinite as a result of that particular attitude. So this is saying that here the ingredients, if you like, that which makes up the kaya or the qualities of a Buddha, they are the result of this particular infinite or limitless attitudes.
제zan다 초진의 년모다 시디방사데 랑요신도 양다 코알 무티니다 수기 넘발디 무티니 네디
So therefore, someone who has eliminated afflictions, afflictive obscurations, so this person has actually attained freedom. But with this freedom, this particular freedom is used in such a way that one remains within samsara, one remains within cyclic existence, one generates a body, one manifests with the body, and so remaining within cyclic existence or in samsara, that is through the power of love and compassion. It's through compassion that a bodhisattva or a being remains in samsara.
모신거 말아. 간지 디기 심진 가수지를 편도 제어래. 다 디이나 다 동규주여나 디레레기 편도 가수 제어래. 다 디에 난가 마세버도 조에메 바이나 무티니 용대에 이나 다 심진 타다 무메발 편도 제도 그러봐.
So actually from the point of view of just this world, we don't really understand, we don't really comprehend the degree in which the Buddha and all his emanations benefit other sentient beings. So the fact that just in this world, how they benefit sentient beings, and that there's a billion Buddhas who in billion world systems and so forth. So really, basically, if we understand that, if we get a sense of that, we can get a sense of how sentient beings, how these Buddhas work for the benefit of sentient beings. Their benefit is like limitless as the sky, in the sense that there's limitless benefit that is given by these Buddhas.
단단히 고수지 신체버티에디 고수 주만 춘지기 렌데 춘지기 책상 춘지 고수지도 전에 엔티체로 치르지메 최기 엔체디레 기보제 체치마에 기보제 거의 내가 수에 기보제 엔텔라테네 에네 수수기 시티방제 에네 람데 타타투바 탑투에제 엔텔라테네 에네 고 푼수서 무슨 소버 쭉 엔디기 에네 심지 탐에비 된제 양 딜라테네 심지 뭐지 상제운도 양 심지 디리레기에 심지 뭐 된지 양 딜라테네 심지 뭐 상제 딜라디레기 되시나 다 랑당 신 심지 탐지기 내가다 탈도기 디기 탐지 조투에지도 신체 벌증바디 여기당도 친구이나.
So therefore, in this way, by generating the attitude that wishes to benefit sentient beings, even though initially it is fake, it is contrived, it doesn't come effortlessly, we're just kind of imitating the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, but nonetheless we should make an effort in this particular practice, which then, in this way, we will generate happiness, or this will result in well-being and happiness in this lifetime, in samsaric existence. And independence on that, we will moreover eventually be able to eliminate cognitive obscurations and become fully enlightened, so that we will be able to cultivate the body, speech and mind of a fully enlightened Buddha. And as a result of that, we will be able to benefit limitless sentient beings. And then those limitless sentient beings who we're able to benefit, they in turn will each individually reach the state of a Buddha, and each individually they will again benefit countless sentient beings, which again will each one of them again benefit countless sentient beings, and so forth. So this in the dependence on this particular reasoning, we will come to understand that other sentient beings benefiting a wish of benefiting other sentient beings will be beneficial to ourselves and others, not just from the point of view of the temporary results or temporary effects, but also from the point of view of the ultimate effect.
제산 준준한라 대는 대어 좋아라 심시 수시 길로지로 군딩이 용데 뭐 장난이도 대화는 대화 좋아라 깔래 잡네 강해지네니 바게티부도 주의기 시거만 다가랑 세딜레 기부 세지면 기부용하네 기부 탈도 답에지랑 신tum시 된 주베지 대는 대어 좋아 된지인서 딜라 다마신이 라르마도 신경지인의 수예니 So
this is this is also what the Shantideva says in his Bodhisattva way of life, that basically by engaging in these activities one will go from happiness to happiness. So in other words, one will reach the happiness by
강이 데세로 쇼라도 니버트 튕거. 디즈텔라스 딘디 수파조 인지미 딘디 유에나메나.
But forgetting about concentration, so not through the power of concentration, but rather through the power of compassion, and in particular ethical conduct here. So some who keep very ethical conduct, in the sense that they're completely honest, they never lie. So whatever the situation is, they're always truthful, they're always honest. So keeping this kind of clean, or if you like, pure type of moral conduct, well, when someone who keeps such moral conduct encounters a problem, out of compassion, first of all, generating compassion, then when they face this problem, they generate the thought, through the power of me having purely kept my morality, may I be protected from such and such. So here, this is not a matter of subtle energy and form being generated and so forth.
제가 잠바곰네 아니 닝지곰네 미수세에도 다길라바나신 째지고 인사로 좀 된발지 컨디션 닝지곰네 아니 미나서 괴기닌가 유설 전화 괴고 말베스 런딩이 semba 티와메나 괴고 말레스 디트레 카도텔라 지겨로 왔다 말이 직지모에 삼바 딘디기 닝지 숙침부지 깨는데 나한테 템퍼처로 와. 딘디는 자원이는 그 말에서 뒤송다.
So with regard to love and compassion, again it is important to have a single-pointed kind of love and compassion here. Why? Because, for instance, Dromtomba, he was once approached and asked about going through a place which is a place where a lot of people are infected by a disease, an infectious disease. Would one be protected if one generates compassion? And so the answer that Dromtomba gave was, if you have compassion without any concern for your own welfare, then you'll be protected. So in the sense that if we don't have that type of compassion, there'll be this concern, there'll be this worry, oh, I could get sick, I could get ill myself, and so forth. So, but if you have single point of concentration, then you have no concern for your own welfare. Your attention is fully focused on the welfare of others, and so your personal concern does not sneak in that sense, and so you'll be protected.
먼저 쳐다지에 대해서 가버다. 닝지 째지거든 게러매체. 닝지 째지고에 매. 대바 째지고에 매. 디자벨 먼저라디 쳐다지에 갈래 가버리.
But for us it's very difficult to examine or to investigate that, because we do not have single-pointed love. We do not have single-pointed concentration. We do not have single-pointed faith. It's very difficult for us to examine or to investigate whether this is really the case. Harming others, that's easier. To inflict harm on others, that's easier. So let's leave it here at that. This is all Geshe has to say, and we're finished for today.
Geshe nanga ne padang joa Geshe ne gyurban desi dani ne gyurne joe dungan selvar shon Geshe nanga ne padang joa Geshe ne gyurban desi dani ne gyurne joe dungan selvar shon Geshe nanga ne padang joa Geshe ne gyurban desi dani ne gyurne joe dungan selvar shon.
generating this attitude of wishing to benefit others, one will achieve happiness, which leads to more happiness and more well-being, and so forth. So this is just basically, it's a matter of not understanding this. It's a matter of not really comprehending this, which is why we basically remain without doing such. So we're not actually engaging in those activities because we just don't really understand this.
제자 신체버 심바디 랑싱기 내가 타두이 되게 중내래 세기 책디 랍디 동대버레디 오늘 디시 자가 좋나 돈이를 시작하래 돈이 디시 어즈래 다디 디시 자가 차상 자고나 남배기 실람제수 차상 거래 잡는 모두 차상 디시 잡도입니다.
So basically, therefore, this explanation of how the attitude that wishes to benefit sentient beings or benefiting sentient beings, how that benefits oneself and others, how this leads to all the different types of happiness, temporary as well as ultimate happiness, this is actually more difficult to understand than understanding emptiness. So actually, in relation to that, or relative to the understanding of in relation to the understanding of emptiness, this is much harder. This is much more difficult to understand. Why? Because in order to really get an understanding of the effect, of the effectiveness of benefiting others, one needs to basically go through the entire teachings, kind of take a turn around the entire teachings of the basis, the path, and the result of the Buddha Dharma.
다 정말은 무시 신변기 심상보디 제다 랑된 디주 신된 디주 체도에 딜 풀에 딜레펜티 상마 딘디마 디송도 저는 믹스 초아지도 그런 탈림 냄셔가 그래서 그래서 셔레시입니다.
So therefore, when His Holiness says, for instance, benefiting sentient beings, benefit others, work for the benefit of the sentient beings, it benefits yourself, it benefits others, it benefits you in the short term, it benefits you in the long term. When His Holiness says it, it comes with this feeling, with this particular strong feeling out of which His Holiness talks about this. Whereas when we listen to it, there's no real feeling.
Yeah, and it tibache. And tibaye na chi.
또 가시실로 더 진짜로 슝비시셔 참대야 되고요. 누구도라 안에 된 지직 참대와라 이나지 뒤에가라 뒤에가라 다시 봄년에 제가 다 디시셔시니 바체 태양디 좋아라서 디 차내양지 가르치잖아요. So some have expressed the wish to use this particular text as a retreat manual, as in like doing a retreat on this particular text. Therefore, if Geshe could, Dendrula in particular requested, she requested whether Geshe could give some advice on the different sessions, how to go about these sessions, what to do as a preparation, and so forth.
군노주에 당다 변의 튠식을 온도잖아 군노주에도 좋지 엔디차네다 저르치주 기야나dimba 디체투나 아니 야보용으로 봐 엔디차네 아니 디르마 방언티네 삼다샤나.
So with regard to doing this as applying this as a retreat, so before the sessions it is important to set one's motivation. So to set one's motivation and thereafter to engage in the six kind of, so for each session with regard to one should engage in the six types of preparatory practices, in particular the 7 limbs, so to engage in the 7 limb prayer here.
아니 야나dimba samata에 되게 괜찮이야 디 samata에 용다네 근데 용구도나 안 튠지니 야나dimba sam다 튠지니 카투카라 이놈아 삼다샨데요.
So if one feels there's not enough time with regard to each of the sessions, one could spend 1 or 2 sessions just doing the 7 limbs. So if one doesn't feel there's enough time, one could spend 1 or 2 sessions just on doing the 7 limbs. And then spend another session meditating on this particular text.
디나로네 다수 수심을 수치쇼 저거 가리 펜치쇼 가리였네 디 튼성기 내갑수에 디카디 있는 ten시 텐데야지.
And then of these, whatever aspect when doing this retreat, whatever is most beneficial for the mind, whatever kind of hits one the deepest with regard to these different concepts, one should also think about, reflect and contemplate on this in the in-between sessions. So not just during the session, but in the in-between period. So this should suffice.
Yeah.
Are there more questions?
Kila the Korea nichi ama mu시 자보제네 상인 태아에도 아마 격보 슈사 말을람에 아마 기틀라도네 로바 간데스 제 도보에나 간지직 슈보제.
So there's one Korean nun whose mom is terminally ill and she will die soon. So what would be the best way to help her mother? This question is at the time of death. How can she be most beneficial to her mother at this point?
Tati Quran namju nangbache ani sanje da chunju samba tendil teba chingin tendi ina ani ta che ta kisi yishu ina ta dila ta ingji de ke te stabshi chetuna yashore.
So if her mother is a Buddhist and has some faith in the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, well then there is something to do with regard. I mean there's a way to help her with regard to that. If on the other hand she's Christian, she follows Christianity, so then it would be beneficial. There would be a method here to help her by way of compassion. Compassion would be an effective method here.
Namjin tindu kumshi chuni mena dia kabore.
But of course, in general, if she doesn't have that kind of familiarity with these states of mind, then it will be difficult. So if this is the case, then what she should do is to talk to her in such a way that she will be relaxed and calm. So whatever makes her most calm, makes her most relaxed, whatever conversation would bring this forth, well, she should engage in that kind of conversation or that kind of talk.
Ani Geshe si de simrele chai Geshe sineta nambaji na da sanje samlatang se to yinata ti zo nebal tagi tagi che ormato nebal mata baji uzujana porjolo ro simturu.
Yeah, so with respect to talking to her in a way that calms her down, well, you need to see what is most effective in that situation. So whether it is reminding her of the Buddhas, so to make her think of the Buddhas, if that's effective, or talking to her in a certain way. It needs to be seen if you, for instance, has faith in Buddhism or not. So it's very important to see according to the situation what is most effective, because if you kind of try to remind her of the Buddhas and so forth, it can have an opposite effect. It can have a harmful effect.
Kindu kumshi mingina kabore labordo nena zasin tende cheyondu o tende samdangore tende chezan be busutoje be simtrue ningayer.
So here it's important to have some kind of familiarity with any of these concepts, because in circumstances such as these, when the person is sick, when the person is ill, having to deal with this hardship in general, then encouraging them to think along these lines can actually be harmful. It can have an opposing kind of an opposite effect.
Ani the Quran la tegar jiye mena the suzungune ani jamniji kom ani sonam sa kunjolo so ta ani amenchi du ngogi na teloyo in the pengirwa.
And if there's something that can be done from the point of view encouraging the person who's dying to do something, well, then one should oneself engage in particular practices, such as cultivating love and compassion, to generate, to dedicate one's merit, to generate merit, and so forth. So to dedicate it, etc. So to generate all these different, to engage in these different kind of practices. And because of the connection this person has with her mother, there will definitely be some benefit. So in order for the potential of one's mind to affect another person, there must be some connection between the two. Some kind of karmic connection must be there in order for the capacity of one's mind to affect someone.
There
was once someone who used some kind of rituals, some kind of voodoo kind of rituals to harm another person. So there was someone they didn't like and that did all these rituals actually in order to put a spell on that person. But whatever they did, nothing happened.
And the
so when you ask another person to do some kind of observation, to make a mo, then this person said, well, there's no karmic connection, there's no connection between the two. And so, in order to generate that connection, then without this enemy knowing this, through others, he offered him some food.
Then it
became effective. Once the food had been offered, then the spell was effective. The negative spell had become effective.
빙자기 들어와 딘지 들어와 여행인 디줄라 아니 파주만한 잡아이나 펜도 요리스 디스무 수지 기와디 방어이나 들어와 춘에메나 땅모이 기와디 수술 토그레 디균이 짐베짐베 마음반을 해와게 모두 단다카도 펜도 시대에서 말.
So in any way, so in whatever is here, but the point is here that if there's a connection from the point of view of possessions, or from the point of view of the Dharma, or from the point of view of because of being relative. So whatever the connection is, whatever is the cause for that connection, if one generates merit and one dedicates it towards that person, it can be effective. If on the other hand one has no connection with that person whatsoever, even though one dedicates one's virtue, well, it will benefit oneself, and there will be maybe some benefit in the future, but not in the present. So this should suffice. There's not much more. There's nothing more Geshe has to say about this. So this completes it.
Geshe nangka neba tang zhuwa Geshe ne gyurba Geshe tani ne gyurne zhuwe dungana selvaran sho Geshe nangka neba tang zhuwa Geshe ne gyurba Geshe tani ne gyurne zhuwe dungana selvaran sho Geshe nangka neba tang zhuwa Geshe ne gyurba Geshe tani ne gyurne di susuki re dibala yang chimbichi ya jabata di tes chene pendo yungurwa.
Also making offerings, if one engages in making offerings, that will also be beneficial.
Sanjibe namsaya jabata di chishana
doing the samatha
ngasi sine chishana mitu su chongsa ni shine chigido ma chongwa na chene pendo chigirwa.
So a lot of people, so doing the Samantabhadra prayer would also be beneficial. So a lot of people only do these practices of making offerings and saying those prayers after death, but actually one should do so before death. Geshe finds that to be very effective, to do it before the person has died.
Yeah.